Hello everyone, and welcome back to the reunion of Final Fantasy VII Remake podcast. I am your host Kai, and joining me once again today is my co-host Vyzz. How are you doing, Vyzz?
Hello everyone, I'm Grant today, and we're long overdue, so I hope you still remember us. Would be good, preferable. And yeah, I'm pretty excited for today because we have a pretty special episode, I'd say.
I think so as well. I am doing really good, and yes, it's good to be back. I know that, we've been super busy, and just to find time to sit down to talk to you today, I'm super excited. All right, I just want to remind everybody the best way to support us here is to like, sub, and share the podcast. Hop on over to our YouTube channel and subscribe if you haven't already done so. You can also subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts and wherever you listen to your podcasts. Like Vyzz said, I'm so excited today because we have a special guest here with us for today's episode. LegionzGaming is here. Welcome.
Hello, everybody.
How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm ready to talk about some traces of telephone.
Right on.
Same. All right, so for today's episode, we'll be talking a little bit about The First Soldier since it's been released, and then we'll also be talking about all things Trace of Two Pasts, the light novel translations. We'll be giving our general thoughts and opinions about what we liked, disliked, what we found interesting about both Aerith and Tifa's backstory, new insights, newly revealed characters, and their impact on both Tifa and Aerith's backstory, interesting new lore, potential details that are relevant to the future of remake titles, and more. So before we begin, Legions, why don't you tell our listeners who you are and what you do, just in case they don't already know?
Sure. My name's LegionzGaming. I do JRPG content, and sometimes I do mobile games as well on YouTube and on Twitch. You guys usually catch me live on there playing some sort of JRPG. I do reviews often on my YouTube channel, Let's Plays. I do guides as well for JRPGs, podcasts, stuff like that. And we love Final Fantasy, so anytime we get a chance to talk about it, we are always down.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. So how's that Final Fantasy XIV going for you? I know that Endwalker, I think early access is available now, but I know that you're not there yet, I think.
No.
But...
I just got into Shadowbringers, and I'm probably like a quarter of the way in through Shadowbringers, and my mind's been blown like every step of the way. And I can see now why people say Shadowbringers is amazing. It's probably like turning into one of my favorite Final Fantasies of all time, which is crazy. I never thought I'd say that about an MMORPG. But yeah, I can see why people love it so much. It's amazing. I just don't like the boss I'm fighting when I'm trying to log into the game. 2002 error code. Yeah. I'm like, let me in. I'm not even in Endwalker yet, please.
Login boss, worst of all.
Make a separate server or queue for people that aren't even in Endwalker.
Yeah, seriously.
I was like, I need to catch up. Can I please just get in the game? Speaking of, let me queue in right now. It's probably going to take 2 hours.
Yeah, start now and you'll be ready after this podcast.
It's probably going to take, yeah.
Or you get in while we're recording and you're just playing in the background.
I can multitask.
Yeah. Well, I heard that apparently spoilers seem to be around online, so just want to say, be careful to you and everybody out there that's trying to, experience Endwalker.
Yep, I have actually blocked all terms on Twitter. 14, Final Fantasy 14, Endwalker. I blocked everything.
Oh, that's good, yeah.
Someone talks about I won't see it, thank God.
Yeah, I did not do that for Remake, and I learned my lesson.
I didn't even go on the internet for like a week until I beat that game.
Oh, I did because I had to, because we were tweeting about stuff for the podcast, but then I kind of regretted it because I just saw some quick, flashes of pictures of screenshots of things that I didn't want to see going through Twitter, and I was like, no.
There's a lot of screenshots. That's where you just gotta post and close.
Yeah, and close. Yeah, exactly.
Don't even look at notifications.
Yeah,
disable them on your phone.
Yep, disable. Yeah, exactly.
All right, so moving on here, we are going to be talking about The First Soldier. So it is out. It came out November 17th, correct?
Yes.
So I have played a few matches, And I did enjoy what I did play. During the tutorial match, my game kept crashing for some weird reason. So I actually thought that the tutorial match was actually real people, and I was doing so good, and I was like, "Yo, this is awesome! Like I'm so good at this game." And then I confirmed with Sector 6 that they are in fact not real people.
Yep,
It's
they're
just
bots.
Just
they're
dummies.
bots. So then my dreams were crushed. And but that's when my game kept crashing. So every time I would have to, reopen it and then restart from the beginning of the tutorial match, and I lost all my progress and my items and everything. So I was kind of upset because I thought it was a real match, and I was like, oh no, I've lost like everything. And he was like, no, it's not. Just keep trying until you beat it. I'm like, okay, that's fine. So it was just annoying that I had to keep, like reloading the app, and it might have had to do with me. I was doing screen share over AirPlay, but like overwired with my Mac from my iPhone. So it might have had something to do with that. I don't know. Anyway.
Day 1 was really bad for the game. Day 1 and day 2, they were working out a lot of server issues because they didn't. They even said it to us ambassadors in the Discord chat. Because we have like our own private chat with just the staff and ambassadors, and they were saying like, we did not expect this many people to. I'm like, man, you underestimated Final Fantasy,
right? Yeah.
And not to mention the other people that just like playing shooters on their phones, like Call of Duty Mobile and PUBG Mobile. Like a new battle royale came out, and so people are excited about it, and they marketed it very well. I kept seeing it everywhere: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube commercials, Twitch. I was like, okay, they're marketing this, and then the game came out and nobody could play. So yeah, they weren't expecting that many people.
Yeah, it's not the only game. I heard from other games as well that day 1 and 2 mostly just server overload because they didn't expect so much attraction, basically.
It seems like a growing tradition now with these new games that come out, huh? Like day 1, day 2, don't even play the game.
Yeah,
because it's just, you might as well, from now on, if people decide to take time off from work to play these games, it's almost better to just do it the week after.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll save yourself some heartbreak.
Well, they did release a patch, I think, or an update to, kind of try to fix these issues and other issues as well with not controller compatibility, just like functionality, I guess, with the controller. Because I know I was using my Xbox controller wirelessly with my phone, and I found it pretty hard actually to aim because the latency there, like between my controller to my phone and then my phone also being plugged into my Mac, it was just, I don't know, it was a lot. So
yeah, it was so weird. Like iPhone had certain controllers that didn't work so well, and then there was also like Android like on Android there was some controllers that worked better on Android that didn't work good on iPhone. Like for example, I had viewers that would be telling me, oh, my PS5 controller doesn't work on my Android. The start button is the shoot button, and my R2 button is the start button. I was like, that's weird. But on the iPhone, it works perfectly. So on Android, a lot of people seem to use the PS4 controller because that's like the best one. Well, I can't even use the PS4 controller on my iPhone because the latency, like you were saying, even one not plugged into anything, there's input lag heavily when I'm trying to use it. So I just stuck with the PS5 controller.
I didn't actually try my PS5 controller. I just have my Xbox controller for PC gaming that's here. So I was just like, well, I might as well just, use that. And it worked pretty well, but I found it a little annoying because there were on-screen things like menus that I actually couldn't get to with the controller. So I would actually still need to touch my phone screen to get into certain menus.
Yeah, that bugs me. I already talked to them so many times about that. I'm like, listen, can you give us controller layout? Like, can we be able to put inputs, like change the inputs? Because still having to touch my screen to do stuff is really annoying.
Especially if you have it plugged into a monitor or, a device for the screen share, then you have to look down to like touch your phone and then look back up. So
like, oh, I want to drop something from my inventory. Hold on, let me press the start button and then go to my phone and drag it out. Like, why can't I just go through the menu with my controller?
Yeah, I did that. That's what happened to me. I got second place, I think, in a few matches because I was just, roaming and doing things. And then by the end, the other person was just way better at aiming than me and probably didn't have as much latency. So I lost, but whatever. At least I got second place, you know?
Yeah.
At least something.
Second place is better than last place.
But yeah, I'm really excited about the future of this game. I think I'm going to stick with it.
I will give you guys some like cool info. I can't really talk about it until tomorrow.
Oh.
But there is a really, really cool, fun update for winter coming in a couple days. Like a really cool event. So
that's awesome.
Look out for that tomorrow.
Icicle
looking
in.
forward to that.
I wish. I wish.
Snowboarding
mini
I
game.
have talked to the staff about like map changes, and the staff pretty much was like, I can't talk about it at this time, but, and then he put like the emoji with the finger to his mouth, like quiet. So maybe when part 2 comes out, we'll get some new stuff. That would be cool.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that would be.
For sure, yeah. Love that.
But I really like it. Like I said, I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to keep, you know, trying to just continue to play. And I think over time, it's just going to get better, you know, with more updates and more, you know, fine tuning to the controls and everything. I think that it's just going to get better. So I have confidence in this, you know, and I'm going to stick with it. But I did watch your opinion video, I think, that you posted a few days ago about this. And at the end, you had said, you know, the issue right now is a lot of people want to play this, but they don't want to play it as a mobile game, and that they're losing potential, you know, funds or you know, money because people aren't playing it and they really want to because they just don't want to play a mobile game. You know, they want to play it on console, they want to play it on PC. And I totally agree with you. Right now, you cannot emulate this, so it does not work in BlueStacks.
And I've already talked to BlueStacks, and they're trying, but they can't get it to work.
Yeah,
they can't.
It's probably, obviously, you know, they put in some kind of
to block it. Yeah,
block,
even though they say no, but I
I
assume that's the case.
Yeah,
as well.
And which is understandable, you know, like they don't want to have people, you know, have an unfair advantage maybe over, you know, other people. And I don't know if they have the servers set up to know if, you know, you're using it with the controller. Like, are you only playing against people in matches that are also using controllers? Because
not yet. I don't think there's enough people playing the game as of now to make that worthwhile. PUBG Mobile and Call of Duty Mobile do that though. Apparently they even have a way to track if you're on emulator, and they have separate lobbies for emulators as well.
That's cool.
I did see people actually get permabanned on, I think it was Call of Duty Mobile, because they were using BlueStacks. So and they lost their accounts, right? Because they just literally banned them. So people were pretty upset. There's outrage. I was going through the subreddit for the First Soldier, and then I kind of came across the Call of Duty one, and I was reading about that, and then people were really, really upset over that. But, you know, I can understand why.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. But, you know, as I said, I hope that it does come to console and PC. I think it's a missed opportunity.
100%.
And then I started to think, like, why wouldn't they just use the assets from Remake? Wouldn't it be faster to develop something like this for PC and for console if they already had the maps and everything in Remake and the assets already? Obviously, they'd have to change the format of the map so it's more open, because right now it's more like you're funneled down a corridor and you're going through the story, but they already have the assets. So,
well, the thing is, the company is a Japanese company that had no ties to Square whatsoever, and then I guess they bought rights to be able to use their you know, the Final Fantasy title, and they ended up, you know, partnering with Square and making a game out of it. But I don't think they're like affiliated like firsthand with Square Enix at all. I think they're just a third-party company that's, you know, and Square Enix is publishing the game, much like War of the Visions or Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, the City of Opera Omnia, all that stuff.
I get why they did a mobile game, because in Japan, obviously, those games are super popular. I think they make the most money. But for us here, it's more the console games and PC games and shooters like this, but not on a mobile device. you know? So I feel like it's a missed opportunity. Maybe they're testing the waters to see if something like this could potentially turn into a console or a PC game, you know, and I guess I can't remember who it was. Anyway, I think it was somebody at Square Enix had said, you know, if you like it or you want changes, you need to let us know. And if enough people ask us, then they'll, you know, consider doing it.
And I will say the staff that we talk to, they do a tremendous job at like giving our feedback to the devs. Like like they really care about what people think. So they're putting in a lot of, we have like a section where we talk about bug reports and like our general feedback and what ideas we have that would make the game better. And they have already put in a couple of things that we've talked about in the next patch that's coming up for like the big event for winter. So seems like they're actually really listening to their community.
Oh, that's good. Good to hear.
Yeah.
Because usually some games, or especially Japanese games, sometimes just don't really take feedback from Westerners and just do their thing.
Yeah, they barely care. They just care about how much money they make from the game, and that's it.
Exactly.
I do hope that it comes to consoles, and I would love to see this with, you know, like remake assets and just kind of full-fledged just shooter with same mechanics, but just even better controls and just kind of like a full-on, just go for it, you know, just go all in.
What's the matter? You don't like the graphics to look like the door in Sector 7?
I think it looks pretty good, but they just, you know, it's just the draw distance as well as, you know, it suffers, and I don't know. I just see it being like they did that online portion of 15, you know, inside of 15's world. Like, why couldn't they just?
Oh, the comrades.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I forgot that existed.
I think that they could do it. I think that they could do it, and they thought that they didn't think it was going to be as popular as what it is. Like, what? What do you mean? Like, people love Final Fantasy.
I know.
And especially 7.
I said the same thing. I said the same thing.
Like, what? And they did Dissidia games. I mean, those are like amazing, but they're fighting games. You know, this is a different genre. Maybe they're not confident yet in diving in. And it's a lot, especially too, if you're doing like a new IP or something and you're just funneling a bunch of money into it and it doesn't go well, then it's kind of like, oh God.
I hope they take the money that they make from mobile and say, wow, we've made a lot. Maybe we should make a mobile, a console port or a PC port. Or even, honestly, they'd fix so many issues if they could at least let it work on emulators. Because so many people have PCs, and at least that'd be something until they get an official port. Because I'm not going to lie, streaming this game and making content on it is very annoying with all the issues that I dread streaming it sometimes. I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be rough. I'm going to get crashes and audio issues and lag and latency. It's so annoying.
Oh, I bet. Even for content creators, it would be very beneficial to at least be able to use BlueStacks or something.
Like Night Sky Prince, for example, he's an ambassador too, and I've talked to him many times about it, and he straight up told me, he's like, I'm not playing the game unless it works on emulator. I hate playing games on my phone. And I agree. I mean, I don't blame him.
Same with Ever Crisis next year. If it doesn't work in BlueStacks, I'll just wait.
It should, because it's going to be kind of like default. And every other game, I feel like the only reason they blocked it on emulator is because it's a competitive shooter.
Oh,
that's really the only reason. And not to give people an unfair advantage on PC with mouse and keyboard or 60 FPS, you know.
Fair enough,
That's probably the only reason why it's blocked.
So it's actively blocked. It's not just not working, it's actively blocked.
Yeah, I've asked the staff about it, and they're like, we can't say anything, but all we can say is we're not officially, you know, we don't officially support emulators. And to me, I read that as, okay, you don't want people to play it on emulators.
Yeah, that's kind of sounds like that, yeah, for sure.
All right, well, moving on here, they did release, I guess, an image with the glitch fields, and they explained, you know, that there's kind of this glitch field, and you can go and, I guess, you know, investigate, and it was found that it was Cloud with like a Genova Eye.
Yep.
Which was a boss fight, and people thought that it was Whispers or something like that from Remake.
It is, actually. If you go in the field where you find him in the glitch, you see Whispers flying around while you fight him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I haven't done it yet.
I literally found me and Baby Seal were playing for like 7 hours one day trying to find one cloud.
Wow.
We finally found it. Yeah, I was like, I need the footage.
So did you defeat Cloud?
I don't want to talk about it. He cross-slashed me. I found him very early game and I had no guns or like barely anything, and I did not realize how OP he was.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, I heard stories.
The trick is to use a chocobo, but I couldn't find one anywhere. So.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Man, where are the chocobos when you need them?
I know. I always find them, and then the one time I see Cloud's thing, I'm like, okay, I can't look for a chocobo right now because the zone's closing, and I really want to fight Cloud. So, yeah, we went in there, and there's literally whispers flying around while you're fighting Cloud the whole time. That's kind of crazy how they implemented that. And yeah, I don't know. I wonder if it like ties to like how Sephiroth kind of absorbed them at the end there. Like absorbed the whispers at the end. And I wonder if that has anything to do with it, or if it's just like something in the VR simulation that's going haywire. Yeah,
pretty sure it's about the VR, because that's the main lore point, that it can display stuff from the live stream, memory, future, what have you. I'm not quite so sure if it's the actual future, but it can just read memory that's already there. So. It's your guess where exactly this the first soldier happens. If the future has already been written and can be read. That's my interpretation. And Cloud's Genova Eye and Whispers. So Whispers can basically be wherever, and if the VR space can read memory, that's already there. Maybe it's the Cloud version that has fallen into the live stream after succumbing to Sephiroth at the Northern Crater in the original. Like, where he's definitely just not himself anymore. And it's kind of a shadow version of him, like a remnant, basically.
Right.
I like what you did there.
Something like that. That's my 2 cents for basically seeing just 1 or 2 passing images and not really thinking about it until today or something. So I haven't really gone into it much, haven't watched footage, haven't played the game yet, so it's just like just a few theory tidbits that went through my mind earlier today.
And then if you defeat Cloud, you get the Mimic Materia, right? And then you could use that in battle. And do you turn into Cloud when you use it?
Yes, so you turn into Cloud for a short amount of time and you get increased, like really increased physical abilities. You run super fast. Your melee damage does like triple or almost quadruple the damage that it used to do. It's insane. And you get cross slash as your special ability that takes over from what your ability was on whatever class you were playing before. So if you were playing Ranger and your R1 button from the controller was like your scan, it turns into cross slash, which is a guaranteed 1-hit kill, no matter how much health they have. Yeah. So it's pretty broken. It only lasts about a minute or so, but if he can run so fast, if you hear gunshots and run towards them, you probably kill a bunch of people before you run out of the Mimic Materia.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And then you could reuse it, right?
Yes, you can.
It kind of reminds me of Star Wars Battlefront 2, where you can play for a short amount of time as Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, where you can play as the Jedi, or
That's true.
Yeah,
I remember that.
That game was actually fun, man. I actually enjoyed that game.
When I could find a game, for me, the servers were full all the time, so I would just sit in a queue with no one. Like, it would just show my name. There's nobody else there, like looking for a game. And then when I would plop into a game, the game was usually already lost. You know, so then I would be, then I would just die. I would get killed immediately.
Oh boy.
Anyway. Rip that game. I don't know, but anybody else playing it right now, props to you.
They're very dedicated if they are.
Yes, exactly. All right, so it looks like we got a first look at Turk's outfits as well for the first soldier, and people were talking about potential remake part 2 content. So we got Turk's outfits, samurai outfits, and then also tribal outfits that people said potentially could be the Gi tribe or G tribe,
like
whatever you
Cosmo
want to call
Canyon.
it.
Looks like them
Yep.
a bit definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was super cool. I don't necessarily know, if this is exactly what it's going to look like, but it could be that this is a preview, right? So they might make modifications or draw
Oh, for sure.
inspiration from this,
Yeah.
but they did go and create them. So, I don't think that they're just creating these based off nothing, like I'm sure they're creating them on the, the descriptions of what they looked like, in the original game, and then they're modifying them and, changing them so it makes sense with this game. But I don't know if I'm 100% sold on this game is going to be used to kind of funnel us part 2 content before part 2 comes out. You know what I mean? I just don't know.
I'm pretty sure it's not.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I think it's just they're using the most popular things that they know people like from the series, and they're using it to make money on skins. Like
Fan
they even
service.
have a Warrior of Light.
Oh, they have.
Yeah, fan
Okay.
service. They have a Warrior of Light
Didn't know that.
Okay.
costume. So if you level your warrior high enough to mastery 50,
Oh.
I think the mastery goes all the way up to 60. You get a Warrior of Light outfit, helmet, sword, everything. Like it's exactly what it looks like from Dissidia.
That's really cool.
And then there's the monk has a mastery one that kind of makes him look like Jet a little bit, like tattoos all over his chest, kind of like the same outfit as Jet. There's a lot of the skins in the game. I straight up, I think just fan service.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much. Also, by the way, wasn't it like a few days ago that they announced Jesse Biggs and Wedge costumes? Stuff?
Yep, I bought those instantly. I mean, I bought every skin instantly. This game's making me broke.
Yeah.
I saw the Cactuar one yesterday, and I was like, I need that.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, there's a Cactuar one.
Oh, boy.
Come on, they should be giving you stuff. Like, aren't you guys ambassadors? What is wrong with
That's
you?
what I'm
Come
saying.
on.
Yeah.
That's what
Hello?
I'm saying. Where's my stuff? All I got is a title.
You should show them off to the other players.
All I got is a title that says ambassador. Give me an outfit.
Yeah.
Give me an ambassador outfit. Give me like a Don Corneo red and gold outfit or something.
With a wobbly stomach.
Yeah, give me the big belly too. I want it. Yeah, back then, if you had a big belly, that means you were wealthy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my
sure.
gosh.
No, it would be actually pretty beneficial for Square Enix as well, because if the ambassador can show off those cool costumes, the other would be probably more enticed to buy them too.
Exactly. That's what I said.
Yeah.
They said they were putting stuff together, so we'll see.
Yeah.
I was like, it incentivizes people to want to buy skins if they see us using the cool skin that they don't have,
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's called FOMO.
Yep.
Fear of missing out.
Well, I log in and then I get something. Like, they're like, oh, the servers are down. We're sorry. And then it's like, here, a ticket to this. And I'm like, what am I going to use this for? Like,
I've seen so many people get the Red 13 outfit from that ticket. I'm so mad because I've spent like $50 trying to get the stupid Red 13 thing. I haven't pulled them yet. It's like, why is this gotcha? Just let me buy it.
Stupid gotcha.
I gotta hate it.
It would be cool, though, if we could trade items. That would be cool, actually. If they could do like an online market.
You can gift skins to people, like in Fortnite.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would like that.
They have it in the game. You can gift it to friends.
Oh, you can? Oh,
yeah.
Cool. Okay.
You can buy skins for your friends. Yeah, I've done it for a couple. That's how I do the giveaways. When I give away skins, I tell them they have to add me on their friends list, and then whoever
cool.
wins,
Okay.
I send them the skin. You can send like 3 a day. I think it's like something like that.
So if I get a skin from the ticket that I get, can I give that to somebody?
Oh no, yeah, you have to separately buy it for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like with Diablo 3, when it first came out, it had like a market, so you could buy, like if you had things that you got, you could just trade it to other people and use in-game currency to buy it from other people, which would be cool. But then I guess they're not making money, so
yeah. Didn't they end up turning that into like actual real money marketplace?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, I heard
there
about
was
that. I was like,
controversy
oof,
about that.
That's rough. I was like, oh god.
Yeah.
I think I stopped playing that game.
Oh my god, just another nail in the coffin. That is Blizzard Activision,
Blizzard,
right?
yes.
Was, yeah.
Yeah.
What? True.
All right, guys, so we are moving on here. We are talking about The Trace of Two Pasts translation. So we're going to start talking about our general likes and dislikes, or, things that we found that were interesting with both Aerith chapter and Tifa's chapter. So I'll go first for Aerith chapter. So I really liked the writing style. I loved the flash back and forth, where we'll be in it, we're kind of in the worlds of Aerith and everything that she's experiencing, and then we take a break and we can see that she's actually just telling this story to the rest of the party, or actually just
Tifa was about to say, yeah.
in Junon. Yeah, sorry, I got it confused with Tifa's. I forgot,
Yeah, it was on the ship, right?
Yeah,
she was on the ship. Yeah, exactly. Of Junon, so she's explaining it to Tifa, but it just made it feel authentic, and it feels like, for me, it's something that I could definitely see, happening.
I agree.
Yeah.
I also liked that they were in Shinra outfits
Mm-hmm.
while telling, talking about how much they hated Shinra. I was like, that's cool.
Yeah.
Nice juxtaposition there.
Absolutely. And I just love getting more history about Aerith's past, and a lot of it is kind of up to our own interpretation, or simply just not told to us or presented to us in the OG. We do find pieces of information as we're going through the story, and we find things out, but I just really liked to, see this kind of raw, I guess, past of everything that she went through, and it made me feel even more for her as a character, because
Yeah, same.
playing through the original, I mean, she's with you for a while, but just it's in the grand scheme of the whole story, it's not that it's not that much time that she's with you from beginning to end. So I know people that were just like, oh, whatever, like she was just considered like a throwaway character. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they would just not even use her in the party. Like,
exactly.
Oh, she's gonna die anyway, so why would I level her?
Like, if you knew what was going to happen, basically, like, if you didn't know, I know people who, didn't know, they used her and leveled her up and got her, final limit break and everything before she, her demise. And I don't know, I just loved, seeing, or reading more about her history and everything that she went through. It just kind of broke my heart, honestly. And there were times when I'm reading this and I'm like, oh my God, am I going to cry right now? Like,
yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you, Aerith's, I cried like 2 or 3 times, I got teary-eyed a couple moments.
Yeah, same.
Hers was sad. Oh my God.
It was very sad.
I loved that they gave so much more backstory to her, because I always wanted more about Ilfana, like her mom.
Yes.
Her mom was such a mystery throughout all of OG, and then this was so good.
It was, yeah. She's such a good character, I feel.
Yeah, I loved Ilfana in this. Oh my God.
Yeah, I also felt really bad for her, because Aerith's whole existence was so sheltered. Like, she didn't know anything about, I'm other than what, she was told or taught from that age, but she never got to experience any of those things. And I just felt so terrible for Ifalna, and her. Yeah. And when we're reading through this story, obviously we know that she's, she's basically at the end of the road, you know what I mean? And she's doing everything that she can to save her daughter, basically, because, like, when you're reading it, you already know what's going to happen, and you know that she's just hanging on by a thread, basically, and she's doing everything she can to help Aerith. And yeah, it was heartbreaking. And I just want to say, I don't know about you, but something weird, I was reading it and I'm like, I'm hearing Brianna White's voice while Aerith is talking, like, in my head, and I'm like, I just want to ask you guys, because I'm like, when you read, do you hear your own voice in your head when you're reading in your head? Because I don't read out loud, I read, in my head, and I'm hearing her voice, because it's so weird, because the original, though, she didn't have a voice actor, so I just feel it's so crazy, because I hear her voice, and then when I was reading her part, I'm hearing Britt Baron's voice. Like, it's so weird. Isn't it weird?
Yeah, I almost wanted to reach out to Brianna White and say, can you read this for me? I will literally pay you.
It would be awesome.
God.
It's just so weird. Anyway.
Didn't it add so much to Aerith's character too? Like, reading this, like, she's such like a happy, bubbly, like energetic person, and then you read this and you're like, how are you so energetic and hopeful and bubbly? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's just crazy because the original didn't have voice acting, and now, and we spent most of our lives with that version, and then how quickly it's kind of like just kind of takes over, and then now it's, you know, when I hear Brianna's voice in Remake, like it's like what I've always known, or what I thought it would sound like in my head when I was playing this as a kid.
A lot of people say that. I love hearing that. She does an amazing job. A lot of people don't even realize she comes from like YouTube. Like she had her own YouTube gaming channel and everything before she
Strange Rebel Gaming.
Yeah.
Strange Rebel Gaming. She actually plays Remake on her channel too, so it's nice to see.
I've seen a few excerpts, pretty good.
Yeah, I literally saw her break down one day while playing. She's like, "Oh my god, my voice is in the game." Like it was so humbling, like to see her.
At the beginning of Chapter 8, she just basically broke down in front of the camera. She couldn't take it. It was so emotional.
I just wanted to kind of put that out there because I'm like, this is so weird. I'm gonna ask you guys if you hear their voices in your head when you read, because I don't hear my own voice even when I'm reading other things. I don't, like, I make up a voice kind of, which is weird.
Yeah, that was like me with OG. Like when I read OG, when I played it, I'm not gonna lie to you, even John Eric Bentley, like Barrett sounds exactly what I thought he would sound like.
Yeah, he fits very well.
Like he does such a great job.
For sure. Yeah. With me, it's a little bit strange because usually if I read something, it's just silent in my head as well. Unless some character or some voice or the way they talk kind of is exceptional, then I kind of make up a voice in my head.
Yeah.
But here it's just in and out. Sometimes I hear Aerith as voice actress. I hear, as he wrote here, Britt Baron for Tifa and Barrett. But sometimes I just read without hearing anything. I just read, and then sometimes I hear the voices again. It really, I think it depends on the mind space I have right now. If I'm in the flow reading, just focused, then it's probably easier to also invoke the voices. If I'm kind of halfway distracted, it kind of goes away and just read silently. I don't know.
Yeah.
It depends, I guess.
I've been recently playing through Remake again on hard because I'm trying to finish. I still haven't finished it because I was waiting to get a PS5.
PS5, I remember you telling me that.
Yeah. So I've been playing it again, and that might have something to do with it as well because it's like fresh in my mind. So I'm like, reading this, and I can just so see this, happening, and I don't know. There are things in Remake too that kind of tie in with this light novel, and it's just so awesome. Anyway, I'm loving it. So
it ties in with a lot, yeah.
It actually makes me want to play it again. Like reading these makes me want to play Remake again because I'm like, oh my god, I want to go to the orphanage now, and I want to go to the lab where she was kept. Like I want to see if there's things I missed now that reading this make more sense. Like oh my god,
oh yeah,
it's such a good game.
I'm just hoping for a PC release so I have another reason to play it, not for the fourth or fifth time.
Yeah.
I hope that it gets announced soon because I really would want to love to play this on PC.
Yeah, some people theorize that it will be released or revealed at the Game Awards, like the PC version.
I hope so.
But I don't know. I stopped hoping for something. I just look forward to seeing anything. And if it's something cool, then it's cool. If not, then just okay.
I'm going to be there with my clown suit, the nose, painted face, everything. I'll be sitting there waiting.
I said that on Twitter.
Final Fantasy 16 is coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was it the Game Awards had tweeted like, what are you most looking forward to? What reveals do you want or 16. Something? And I'm like Final Fantasy 16 or Part 2 info, and then I put like a bunch of clown emojis
I saw that.
I'm like, literally, I got my makeup ready. That's what I did for the last State of Play. There was nothing, and I felt like a fool.
Oh, the face I had, like just a face of utter disappointment.
Yeah.
Through that last State of Play, I was like, dude.
Yeah, because they showed the Square Enix logo, right? It was Star Ocean though, and I was like, no!
Yeah.
I lost my mind. I was like,
oh, Square Enix, it's happening. And then I saw,
immediately,
I'm like, this is Star Ocean. Oh no.
I heard. I think heard some music, and I know Star Ocean music very well, and I immediately know,
Yeah.
okay, it's that. Okay, no, I'm not interested anymore.
Yeah, as soon as I heard the music, I was like, this isn't Final Fantasy. And then I started seeing it. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, so this is Star Ocean.
Mm.
And then after seeing how bad the last one was, oof,
I think this one looks pretty good.
it does look good. Besides a couple of graphical things that I think they could probably change before the game comes out. But yeah, the last Star Ocean, I love Star Ocean games, but the last one did so terrible in the West that I did not expect them to ever make another game. I don't even think it got like 500,000 copies sold. I think it was like 200,000 or less or something. That was really, really low.
That is low, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of fell off it during while playing the fourth one, the Last Hope, I think it was.
Yeah, Last Hope.
I didn't finish it, and after that one, I kind of lost interest because it wasn't nearly as good as 3, and 1 and 2 were gems in themselves.
I agree.
And then 5, I played a few hours, and it was just I don't know. It just didn't grip me at all.
That's what it was with me. I played it for a while, and I was like, I don't feel gripped by the story. I don't feel like something's urging me to play this.
Even the character.
You know that feeling when Remake came out, and you're like, oh, I can't wait to get out of work so I can go play Remake. I didn't get that feeling with that game. So.
And the characters felt like some Japanese cookie cutter anime templates.
Yeah, generic, right? Yeah, they were so generic.
Yeah.
Like
just nothing of interest, and the story as well, just bland and kind of normal. Something I've played or experienced a couple of times in the past.
Any
nothing
times
new.
Before? Yes.
Nothing special. It's just so. It's a shame. I love the battle system.
Hopefully they do better with the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Legions, any likes or dislikes that you want to share for Aerith's chapter of the Trace of Two Pasts?
I didn't dislike anything, to be honest.
Yeah, same.
On hers. I didn't dislike anything. I loved everything. My favorite thing, and this is going to sound very emo and sad, but was when they added to Alphana's death, like the escape.
Yeah.
And then like them at like the OG scene, all you see is just like nobody there except the guy at the train, you know, the Shinra soldier worker just sitting there, and no one else is there. But in this, there's a crowd of people, and someone just picked her up and moved her out of the way and put her against the stairs and then walked off like nothing was happening. As she's running around screaming, saying, "Help my mommy, please somebody help my mommy, a doctor." And no one would help her. Then she goes back and sees a blanket on her. And then finally, you know, Elmira comes. But that, to me, was probably my favorite part. I was like, wow, they made this scene so much more sad than what they showed in OG. Even in Remake, I don't remember them showing that many people or anything. They just showed like a still picture of Alphana, right?
Yeah, there was nobody around when they zoomed in on them.
Yeah, that was my favorite. Like the whole escape where Fuzz brings them and says, "I'll come back," and Alphana's like, "Okay, we gotta go." And Aerith's like, "Why? Isn't he gonna get mad?" And right there, I immediately got like, "Oh, Alphana must have like promised, like I'm gonna be with this guy or something," and she's just like, "No, I want to run away."
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and then you know we see, like, we'll talk about it after, but like later on, what happens? I was like, "Wow,
why.
okay, I was right." Alphana knew. She knew.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the worst part of that scene is that when they walk away, Shinra soldiers get out of the train and just pack her up and get her back to Hojo. Alphana's dead body. This is so messed up.
Yeah, that was messed.
Yeah.
I was hoping they were going to touch on that a little bit more, but that was pretty much the end of it.
Well, Aerith didn't experience it, so she wouldn't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Problem,
That's true.
And I liked the concentration, I guess, on like Alphana just teaching Aerith about good people and how you know there are a lot of people who you think might be good, but good people show it through their actions, not necessarily their words.
Not their words,
And
actions speak louder than words.
Yeah, and how, you know, the person who helped them, they moved Alphana to the side, but then they kind of left, you know, like, and then she was like, "Oh, but they seem like a good person, but they didn't follow through," you know, and then so I loved that.
And we got to remember, she was what, 6?
Yeah, 6, 7 around that.
Yeah, very heartbreaking.
Yeah, like what you were just talking about now, and what was that one thing that Alphana said? Aerith jumped off the train, I think, and then she's like, "That feeling, never forget it." like the fun, like the adventure that they were going on.
Yeah, right, the
and then she
adventure.
remembered it later on. I was like, oh man, that's so good.
And she said they talked about picnics or something as well.
Exactly.
I found it cute that Aerith and Tifa were Aerith asked Tifa about it on Tifa's story, like the whole picnic thing. Have you ever gone on picnics? So I was like, oh
that was
man,
great.
this is so tied in together so well.
Yes, that's true.
And she's like, well, we call them tea parties.
Yeah,
exactly.
She's like, what's a tea party?
All
and then
fancy,
Tifa's like, well,
let me tell you a story.
Let me tell you about tea parties.
Let me get the table. Let's pour some tea. Let me tell you.
Yeah. A tea party, quote unquote. She's going in the forest with 3 other boys. That's what the tea party is.
I was like, wait, what kind of tea party is this?
Yeah. Not just prepare them for Don Corneo. Come on.
Honestly,
no, I'm just joking.
Wow, I never realized that. Wow, that's true.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
What about you, Vyzz? What was your favorite part about the?
It's really, really hard to say because there are so many good portions. But maybe I think it was many of those scenes in Elmira's house, like how it changed from the start when she had to hide Aerith and tell her not to get noticed by anybody. But then she got to know all of those Gainsborough people one by one. And
I love how she took her last name.
Yeah.
Now we finally know where the name comes from.
Yeah.
I don't know if they ever talked about that in the OG.
Nope.
I don't think they did.
Nope. This is completely new. It's all new. I think I cannot really pinpoint one specific scene or part. It's more like how everything builds upon each other. It's like it's building until the end. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well made.
I loved Aerith's story. Hers was so good. I think the only other scene that really grabbed me a lot and kind of got me a little teary-eyed, even though it wasn't really anything that special, but it was something that Tifa said afterwards, after Aerith was telling it. That's why when you said you loved the way they told it, like how they went back and forth between flashback and like in person, well, it was done so well.
It was.
Was the scene where Aerith is pretty much getting bullied by oh God, what is his name? Marcellus. Yeah. And X is standing up for her.
Yep.
And then we finally, can I talk about X?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
We're going to talk about it in depth later, but
yeah.
And then we finally find out who X is. I'll save that part for later when we talk about it. And then Tifa says something like, "Oh my God," and
she
like,
realizes
she gets so sad
who it is,
over it. Yeah, I was like, yeah. And then Tifa says, "Oh, I know who that is," and tells Aerith. And like you were saying earlier before we started recording, I really hope that Biggs is alive now. Oh, I kind of just ruined it.
No worries.
I kind of hope she's like, I kind of hope Biggs is alive now, just because like I really hope that Aerith gets to meet him again one day in the game and like thank him because he protected her a couple of times in the past.
I really, really hope they meet. It would be so sad if we knew they could meet, but then they don't because Aerith dies first.
Yeah.
It's such a tragedy.
Oh, God. Oh, what are you doing to me?
Yeah. And then later they meet Biggs and they talk about Aerith and he remembers her and then it's, oh boy.
And then he starts crying. Yeah. And then we start crying. Yep. It all makes sense now.
Oh boy.
I was talking to Baby Seal about this. Do you guys, not think, but hope that I know they probably can't include all this because, I mean, 200 something pages is probably equivalent to something like 15 to 20 hours of cutscenes if they were to do all this, because there's way too much stuff.
It's a whole anime series.
Like I think Denzel's thing was like what, 20 pages, and it was like an hour or something.
Yeah, it was an
Denzel's
hour,
thing.
I don't remember how long it was.
Yeah, it was something like 30 minutes to an hour. So just 20 pages was like a very long cutscene or very long short story. But like if they told the story like Junon, like right now in the ship, they talk about it a little bit. And then maybe down the line they talk about it a little bit more, or like Aerith, you know, when we find the thing in Icicle Inn, maybe Aerith starts talking about it even more, what happened to her in the past. I would like to add a little bit of what we read here, because
absolutely,
a few glimpses should work. I think a few glimpses, like a few throwbacks, references,
just the important parts.
What I could see is them eventually creating an anime out of this. That could work.
I would love that.
Like one season
that.
of Aerith, those typical 26 episodes of 20 minutes or 30 minutes, and then 26 for Tifa, like just a 2-season thing. I'd love that.
I would love that. I don't know if Square would ever, fund something like that, but I really hope they do.
Wasn't there a rumor that they were already working on a Final Fantasy VII anime, I thought, but also Final Fantasy IX?
I remember the Final Fantasy IX anime rumor.
There was rumor of 9 anime, yeah.
7,
that would be awesome.
Yeah, and Baby Seal was pretty much telling me, like, I don't think that it's possible for them to put all this in. I was like,
no,
probably not, because it's a lot. But like, I feel like the fans miss out on so much story that make the characters so much better if they don't implement some of this stuff. Like at the end, what we were reading with Tifa and Barrett, like before we start recording, when I was finishing up, like that stuff adds so much more to Barrett and Tifa and Jessie. Like I don't know, there's so many things that they could cut out. Like you can cut out all the steamed buns stuff. I don't really care about that, but like the big important stuff, like definitely put that in there.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Like all those parts that are connected to other characters we meet.
Exactly.
Just to fix those connections that are now still missing.
I just looked up and it says May 15th, according to somebody, Final Fantasy VII Remake director Nomura is currently directing a Final Fantasy VII Remake anime that will premiere on Netflix.
Huh?
That's what it says.
That's what Baby Seal was talking to me about. So maybe that's what he was talking about, a Netflix anime. I was like, I would actually love that if it was a Netflix anime.
Yeah.
I hope they create and that the light novels here not just regurgitate Remake story, because that would be redundant.
If they do animate it, I hope they do it with the style that they did. Oh God, what was the one that was that anime?
15.
What was it called?
The Last Order episode?
Yes, Last Order with Sephiroth and Zack. Like, if it's like totally anime, that style was beautiful.
Yeah.
I hope they keep that style.
I also liked Brotherhood anime for Final Fantasy 15. Was also pretty well made.
That one was good too. Yep.
Yeah, I liked it. But yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think that they're going to have references to things that happen in this. Like they might have a shortcut scene or a flashback scene with some of these things like happening throughout the story of part 2 and potentially part 3 or however many parts we end up getting. But I don't think it's going to be just like the whole thing. You know what I mean? Because like you said, it would be too much.
Way too long.
But hopefully some other type of content, with this in it, because I think it would really service the story even more.
100%.
And the fact that this is, obviously I understand, it hasn't been translated yet, I mean, like, officially and then released, is kind of a crime because, unless you're not online investigating and looking for these translations, then you're just missing out on story, which enriches the world and the characters even more. And I think it's kind of a travesty, to be honest with you, and I hope that they translate it and release this officially, so more people can read it. But maybe they won't, and it'll be in the anime. You know what I mean? Like maybe that's what they're gonna...
Or even in the game.
Yeah.
Let's pray. Like at least the one thing from Aerith's, like when we go to Icicle Inn and discover the lab where Gast got shot and killed by Hojo. If instead of when we find those tapes, hopefully Aerith will see these tapes and then start. Because wait, do we have Aerith anymore at that point or no?
If it goes to along the original, then she's gone already. By the time.
Oh yeah, that's right. So she won't be able to retell the story at that point, huh? Oh. Man, I just hope at some point they talk about Alphana in the game, because I would love to see that, with voice acting and animated in the game. That would be so good. The escape, how it got to that point, what she went through Hojo's lab tests and injections. That was crazy.
What they could do is not create an anime, but remake with remake assets, just a collection of cutscenes that you could either unlock or get separately,
how Kingdom Hearts did for their collection.
Yeah, kind of like that. It's just something in addition to the game it's not integrated in the game, but like a bonus, or if you want downloadable content, or in a special edition at first and later you can buy it separately, something like that. I don't know. But many assets they already have, like Sector 5 assets, and maybe they need to create a 13-year-old Aerith first, because that's a separate model. But
that should be easy. I mean, they have it in Crisis Core.
yeah, kind of. 15, yeah.
They got the look already. They just got to actually make her model.
Yeah. Sure, a few new characters to be made, Sector 8 to be made for Tifa's chapter and stuff, but a lot of it is already done, actually. So they, I think it would be pretty easy comparatively created, and it's just cutscenes, not really gameplay or anything.
Do you think that we could potentially get some of this stuff in Ever Crisis?
Hard to say. If so,
I know it's a retelling of the original, like from before Crisis all the way up.
Yeah, it's just
right?
the original compilation.
Actually, it's a retelling of Remake for the first part of Midgar, and then they're going to use the OG stuff for the rest. Nomura did an interview, and so he said, I remember making a video on this. Nomura did an interview, and he said that the FF7 is going to be 10 chapters.
Yeah.
The OG. And 3 chapters of that is going to be all Midgar.
Exactly, yeah.
Which seems short, right? You're like, 3 chapters out of 10 is going to be Midgar. Midgar's like 5 to 10% of the game. But he did say, I mean, obviously it's a mobile game, so they can't put everything in the game. But he did say that there's going to be like weekly patches and events that come out and stuff like that are story-based. Kind of like how Dissidia Opera Omnia does. When they release new characters, they release something called a Lost Chapter.
Okay.
And then there's like little bits of story for them. So he said it's pretty much going to be similar to that, where they'll do updates and stuff like that in the game weekly or bi-weekly that add new things to the game.
What I remember is that the new episodes will come out every month.
Yep.
Probably a couple of episodes, 2, 3, 4, I don't know.
He said 1 through 3, like Midgar, will be done when Ever Crisis first launches, and then after that it will be once every month.
Yeah, exactly.
One a month until.
But unfortunately, he didn't specify if it's game by game or if they mix it up, like 3 episodes from 1 episode from 3 different games, so to speak.
Yeah, I assume he's probably going to do 7 first and then work with everything else. But I'm more curious for Ever Crisis. Not Ever Crisis.
Before Crisis.
Before Crisis.
Same.
Yeah. I want to see what they do with that.
Or Advent Children. Playable Advent Children.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I'm like, Advent Children's being included, but it's playable. Like, what are they going to do for that? Which is why I'm kind of thinking potentially we might get some of this stuff from, Trees of Deep Past. Yeah, because it's, I don't know, it's a story, so they might put it in there. I'm not sure. Anyway. But yeah, here's hoping. That's the only thing we have, I think, in that we know of that's coming out, right? And it's in 2022.
Yep.
Correct?
Did they specify if it was early 2022 or just 2022?
I don't think so. I don't remember
I really hope it's early 2022. I have been looking forward to that game so much.
I don't know. In my head, it's June or July. I don't know why.
Don't tell me.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 16 first.
Do you think so?
Yeah,
you think we're going to get that before? Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
I don't really think they care about correlating like mobile games with the console versions, but yeah, probably. Because I think it's a totally different, like honestly, just like First Soldier, it's a third party thing that's doing that.
Yeah. Did they say that 16 is 2022? They haven't even said any. They did?
No, they haven't, but
what I remember is that Yoshi P said the next time they show off Final Fantasy 16 will be like a few weeks until release or something.
Yep.
Oh.
It was in an interview he had with Yoko Taro. Yeah. He said, the next time we show it, I want to be able to say, like, here's the game. You can play it now.
Basically,
yeah. That's why they haven't shown anything. He said in multiple interviews that Square has been like telling him, like, show more of the game.
Yeah.
But he says, like, he doesn't like when companies like keep leading you on and like feeding you, the same kind of information just to hype up something to the point where it's no longer like a mysterious or like hyped up anymore. It's just overshown. I think a perfect example of that is God, what was that Bethesda game that just came out where you're like an assassin or someone's hunting you down? God, it's on the Game Awards too. Deathloop, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I have seen a trailer for that at every single game show or State of Play or Microsoft. Like, oh my God.
It's become a meme.
It was
by
to
the
the point where I was like, I don't even want to play this anymore.
Yeah, same. And also, I was like, what even is this? I was so confused, dude. I didn't even know what it was. I was like, what? I thought it was like a BioShock spinoff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just glad that he stuck with that because I don't like when companies do that. Like I like when they show something and we have that anticipation and like the anxiousness of just when is it coming out? Oh my god, I can't wait to play it. It just makes you so much more excited.
Oh, definitely.
So you guys think we're gonna get it like early 2022?
I hope so, yeah.
No,
but
I don't think so. Because the reason I don't think so is because of Strangers in Paradise is coming out.
That's what
in
I
March.
was just about to say. It comes out in March.
I think it's coming out late next year.
Yeah.
Well, it depends. Wasn't he unsure if he was able to show something at TGS? So it kind of looks like the game is almost finished.
Oh yeah, they've said Yoshi P has said in an interview that literally everything is done, that they're just the voice acting's done, main scenario's done, that they're just touching up on side
quests. Exactly.
So, and like obviously like bug fixes and like little patch updates and stuff like that.
Polishing and
the game should be almost done, hopefully.
Yeah, that's why I kind of hope for Game Awards show off and then January release or something. But
could you imagine? Oh my god.
Well, I'm holding back on that hope.
Yeah, but the thing is too is Endwalker just came out, and then we're gonna have Stranger of Paradise in March. Like, I don't see it coming out until later in 2022.
Yeah. Unless Strangers of Paradise gets pushed back, which I think it needs to.
Yeah.
Especially from what I played on that demo. Oh my god, that game was
We
rough.
talked about that in our last episode, and it was I was saying the same thing. I don't know how they're gonna do it for March. It was pretty rough, but
not even like story or graphics. It was more like I was getting insane amount of frame drops, and I'm like, holy crap, I'm playing this on a PS5. What is going on here?
Sam.
Yeah, we'll see. I will see.
Yeah, we kind of went off on a tangent, but that's us. That's
Tension
us.
City.
This is what we do.
We'll see in 4 days if we see that Game Awards.
Yeah. All right, so moving on, we're talking about Tifa's chapter. So, Vyzz, did you want to tell us what you liked?
Oh, a lot. I love this. I loved reading this chapter. Tifa's story is so good, and she's just getting from one crisis into another, basically.
I know.
It's a hard life, definitely, but she's mastering it for sure. And sometimes I'm glad that they cut short on certain parts and just like summarized certain aspects, certain days, just in 1 or 2 paragraphs, and then went on, because some segments feel like padding a little bit, but they make sense for
I agree.
kind of a breathing moment between either action scenes or heavy scenes or anything, just some levity in between. That was pretty cool. So I'm glad they didn't stick too long on those low bar segments, let's say. So in the end, I'd say pretty good, and some great revelations towards the end.
Oh yeah,
great revelations. And yeah, it started with her in Nibelheim, the tea parties, Cloud and the others, Emilio and Sangan, and then it gradually got into more and more hardship. And it's also I think that part was very, very interesting. I thought she was about to talk about the Nibelheim incident, and then she basically lost over, didn't want to talk about it, and then Cloud said, hey, what you talking about? Oh, tea parties. Then he just...
I actually kind of like that they didn't.
I love that. I love that they did it. But I felt it was surprising, like the format in which they included the Nibelheim incident. Because in Aerith's part, those segments we knew of were expanded upon heavily. And here, what we knew of Tifa's story is basically just glossed over. Well, the Cloud and Zack parts, at least.
Yeah. Because this was, correct me if I'm wrong, this was after they left Calm, right?
Yes.
Like walking towards Chocobo Billy's farm and stuff?
Yes, that's what I got from it, on the grasslands.
Yeah, because she ended up saying, like, oh yeah, Cloud's what Cloud told us, and Calm,
exactly.
So I'm assuming it was afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I agree. I really liked the backstory, just giving more, in-depth descriptions of, everything that she went through, her hardships. But also, they kind of gave us a glimpse into how she changed as a person. Because in the beginning, as a child, she was kind of more I don't know, like not subservient, but just
Gullible?
hanging out with the like naive and hanging out with the boys and just always doing what they wanted to do. And she was always, she manipulated her own feelings, and other people's moods affected her. And that's what came out as well, that I think that Marl had said later on in the story, and that she was always kind of like that, like she would just go and do whatever the boys wanted to do, and she was her own person. But she said that it was like a simple life in Nibelheim, and just as well watching her mother, from a young age, just she cooked a lot and did those types of things. But then eventually, she, after Zangan shows up and starts, training, I guess, everybody in the village, they would go to the town square and do the exercises. She kind of was like, wow, I'm really good at this, and I'm different from everyone else.
Exactly.
I can actually
I'm
do
special.
this. Yeah, like I'm special.
Exact words.
Yeah,
I laughed at that. I
exactly.
was like, okay.
Yeah, and then that's when the change started to happen, and I really loved that. I loved the Zangan part. We got his name, his first name, which we did not know, which is like Rosha or whatever, which is super cool.
Which I think they said they weren't sure what the exact translations were, but it was something similar to that.
Yeah, and just because in the original we know about him, we know that he trained Tifa, but he's kind of this mysterious figure, and he's not really part of the story after, just being there for the plot of like what he's kind of there to give backstory to Tifa and kind of make us understand like why she's such a good fighter and make us feel more for her. But then that's it. Like it's very surface level. And yes, we get more as well in the Last Order, that episode, which is awesome. But I just really liked the in-depth, like the training and like
the training was really good.
Like how he was there, how she got to know him, and how he chose to train her, and he gave her that leather cord that she would wrap around her wrist. I really loved it, and the whole boys thing too. It's true. Like everybody was just so oogly eyed. Because she's so beautiful, and the boys chasing her, but she felt bad because she felt like she had to stay because like each one of them saw a future with her. And she's like, I can't leave because if they come back, they're going to expect me to be here. And I have to try to live up to the expectations of like, and be the person that they want me to be, but then it's also her finding herself and knowing like, no, I don't need to be that person. I can be whoever I want to be and forge my own path.
I loved that part, where she pretty much realized like, I'm not a piece of meat, I'm not some trophy, I'm not some trophy wife,
Exactly. Yeah. I thought that the transition from going from Nibelheim to Midgar was a little abrupt, and it threw me off a bit because I was expecting a little bit more. I liked how they did it, but then after reading it, I was like, well, we already know what happens. You know what I mean? Like we get that story. We see it in the original, so I guess it was fine, but I found it weird how both of the chapters, there's no talk about Zack at all. I just found that really weird, and I think we're going to talk about that later, but it's kind of mysterious, and I think that, it's going to have a larger role in the story later.
There's one tiny reference to Zack at the end of Aerith's chapter, because she was about to tell about her first love, and then Cloud interrupts. That's all.
And she didn't, but it also happens in Remake when we're playing through, right? And they're in the park, and she's like, well, you remind me of my first love. And then it's like, who? And then she's like, and she doesn't say it, and then like, no.
Yeah, exactly.
In Remake, she does say it though, right?
Yep.
OG, she doesn't. In Remake, she does say it, and then Cloud has that
exactly.
PTSD
Oh,
thing.
yeah, that's true. Has that like...
Exactly.
This memory glitch episode.
I think my favorite in the whole Tifa part was in the beginning. I really liked the end, and the middle was, really, really good. Like the journey of her rehab and, saving money to pay off her debt. I think to me, my favorite part was where we finally hear her say the words like, I was in love with Cloud.
Oh
Like,
yeah, yeah.
she like I was like, oh my god, they actually said it. She lost, like, it went from her losing her cat the first time, because they didn't really talk about the incident that much. I thought they were going to touch on that more, of like her falling off the cliff. But they did touch on it later, pretty much saying that she knows that people were lying, and then that Cloud was probably protecting her, so people didn't, you know, blame her, you know, because he probably already felt bad enough as it is that her mom died. And then I liked the fact that when Maru escaped, he was the one that kept, you know, was always watching over the cat for her. Like, he's like, oh yeah, your cat always eats birds in the mountain, in the beginning of the mountain gate. You should probably feed it. So like every time it disappeared, like she knew that like the cat was with Cloud. Then I loved how like she kind of like, what was it? The moment that Cloud like finally, like he's like kind of like going through puberty or whatever, or becoming a man, and he goes up to her, he builds the courage, and he's like, midnight, meet me at the water tower. I was like, oh, here's the part, the promise. And then I loved how she was like, I felt this like pounding in my chest and like anxiousness and like, you know, the butterfly feeling that she had when she was like, I gotta pick up an outfit. And then Maru's like, I don't care. Like, she's like, Maru, does this look good on me? I love that she was like purposely trying to look good for him. And she was nervous about meeting him. And then they finally get there, and she's talking about how her heart is like pounding, and she's like, how should I speak to him? Is this voice okay? Should I speak to him like this? Like, it was just so cute, like that teenager-y love, you know? And then it was after that moment that she talked to him, and that she was like, this is when I realized like I was in love with Cloud. I was like, oh my gosh, she just dropped the bomb. And then it kind of just kept going on after that. And, you know, when she kept thinking about Cloud, like, and her heart would race every time she would think about him. Like, oh, is he doing okay? Did he make it into Soldier? Or even when she heard the news that Soldier was coming, and she's like, oh my God, Cloud's going to come. And she's getting all, you know, finding an outfit from the hand-me-downs that she got from someone else's daughter. I forgot the person's name.
It was Jasmine's daughter.
The daughter of Mon Ami.
That's what it was.
Jasmine, I think, was her name. An acquaintance of her dad's as well from back in the day.
Yes.
So she looked through the bag, and she's like, oh, okay, this outfit's cute. And then once again, she's trying to look cute for when Cloud arrives. And I found it, like you guys said, I found it odd that they both didn't talk about Zack at all. Like, she was, you know, the guide in the reactor in Nibelheim. But they didn't. She talked about Sephiroth and like a Turk that supposedly saved her. It could have been Cisne or, you know, any female Turk. It was just a female Turk. That's all they said. But she didn't talk about Zack at all. So it was just, I was like, wow, they're trying really hard not to talk about Zack. I wonder if it's like a remake thing where they still want to keep the players in suspense, like new players to remake, and because a lot of people are like, who is this Zack guy?
I think
like
it's
that played Remake for the first time.
I think it's twofold. It's, for one, of course, to keep up Zack's mystery, but also it makes sense for Tifa to lock away Zack, because that's what confuses her the most. Because Cloud has now Zack's sword, isn't Soldier.
Right.
He was never there, but pretends to have been there, and she's just confused about that as well. So I think
because isn't there a moment that Aerith asks her a question and Tifa's like, either I don't want to talk about it or I don't remember, or something like that, and it's about either Cloud. Yeah, I think it was about Cloud. Like, she asked if Cloud was there, or something like that.
Don't remember the specifics either.
Yeah.
Also, I think she mentioned at some point, maybe in the same segment, that she was really confused about this and had to work it out first before she could talk about it. Kind of her problem during the whole original story, until she finally worked through everything with Cloud in the live stream.
Yeah.
But what I find now interesting is that during Remake itself, she does try to get more information out of Cloud and tries to ask Aerith, like, what's with Cloud and stuff. She tries to inquire, she tries to find out more, because she knows something is really odd about the whole thing, which she didn't really do in the original. But yeah, I'm still looking forward to her arc in the future.
I can't wait. I can't wait for like everyone keeps asking me, what is the thing you're most excited for part 2? Calm. I really want to see what they do with
Oh
Calm.
yeah.
And Cosmo Canyon too. But like I really want to see how the flashback is going to be told. Are we going to be able to play as Cloud in that flashback and Sephiroth? Is it just going to be cutscenes, or like I'm really hoping it just starts, the game starts and we're in the back of the truck. And like we literally play through that.
For sure.
And watch Sephiroth just destroy the dragon.
Has to be, yeah.
I think I'm most excited for Shinra Mansion.
Oh,
that for like the whole. You're a Vincent fan, aren't you?
I just love the creepy stuff. Like, I
can't
just
wait
really
for the music too. Yeah, the music in there is really good.
Lost Number.
Yeah. I'm just interested to see like what they're gonna do. You know, because the monsters weren't really explained in the original. You know what I mean? And
Ojo experiments probably.
And that's another thing that like in the whole Tifa thing that that's one thing I forgot about, where when they finally start getting like more monster activity and then people in the village start thinking like, is it because of what are they doing in that reactor? Because like they were seeing humanoid monsters.
Oh right,
so like I wonder if
it was like the
was
silhouette of a human or a monster walking on 2 legs. So that's
so I wonder if it was the experiments that Sephiroth and Cloud and Zack see inside the reactor that like broke out or escaped or whatever.
Yeah, the Narconoids. I remember in Crisis Core we had to kill a bunch of them on the Mount Nibel itself. So they did escape, even canonically. So
yeah, and even in Sephiroth talks about that in Crisis Core and explains like what they came from, etc. Like he does that typical like Hojo and then walks away.
Yeah. It's so well woven into existing canon. I couldn't believe it sometimes. So just little things.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I'm like, I really hope at some point this is somewhere in the story, because it's like just these little things add so much more to the story.
Yeah.
Like, I like Aerith so much more now than I did before. Before she was like this bubbly character, and now I look at her as like this poor thing that went through so much. Yeah. And it's like, it just adds so much. The same thing with Tifa as well. Like, it just adds so much to their character. And I think it just makes the story that much more impactful.
Now I wonder, was the reason to choose those 2 characters over the others because the others will get a more extensive backstory in Remake, and Tifa and Aerith don't because of story pacing reasons? Could be that this was the only way to actually bring in their backstories.
Yeah, I was wondering that myself. I was wondering, like, maybe they're just telling Tifa and Aerith's backstory through this, format, and then maybe actually in Remake, once we get to Coral and stuff, maybe they'll actually do like pretty big flashbacks of, like when they do the Barrett flashback where he talks about Shinra finally showing up and killing everybody, and maybe Red 13 too, they'll show the Gi tribe and all that stuff.
I hope so.
There's a lot of before Crisis lore that's involved with Cosmo Canyon too, so I wonder if they're going to talk about any of that as well.
I hope so, because wasn't Gast there and learned a lot from Bugenhagen and got some equipment for his research?
Yep.
Or was it the other way around? I don't remember.
No. Yeah, he went to Cosmo Canyon on a journey to learn more about the planet itself. Because that's pretty much where planetology. I remember correctly. That's like where the study.
Yes,
like
study of the planet. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure that's where a lot of people go when they want to study. Because even Barrett talks about it in OG, like that he's always wanted to visit this place.
With Biggs, Jesse, and Wedge, but he couldn't. It was sad.
Yep. Or maybe he can now.
Maybe. Who knows?
We never know. We saw Jesse's glove.
Yeah.
We saw Biggs. Wedge had a black screen death, so it doesn't count.
Yep. Exactly.
Right?
Even though there's no way he survived falling off of the Shinra mansion, Shinra building. There's no way. He was like on the 60th floor.
Yeah, most likely not. No. He did. Although I agree with you, those black screen deaths and you don't see the body, it's always very suspicious.
Yeah, right.
Yep, it's always got him. It's always a debate.
Yep. All right, so moving on to the next part here, we talked a lot about the story So I don't know if you guys have anything else that you want to add about the story, specifically for Aerith or Tifa, that we haven't already talked about.
I'm sure we'll talk more about it as we go on too.
Yeah. Just maybe to extend Tifa's chapter a little bit, because all those segments in between where they go back to the present, it's in Aerith's chapter, it's just Aerith talking to Tifa, full stop. But in Tifa's chapter, she tells all of them except Cloud. He's probably just off in the distance to play scout or something. And then they sit. I think the first 2 or 3 intermission segments are on the while walking. And then they take a break, and it's mostly Tifa talking to Red 13, and Cloud and Aerith just go off to square off against Chocobos. Pretty fun, actually. And Barrett, I think, just falls off because he isn't mentioned at all after a certain point, so I'm not quite sure what he's up to. But I find it interesting that in Tifa's chapter, it's always a little bit different. In Aerith's chapter, it's just two girls talking to each other, full stop. So I found that very refreshing. But I think we can talk about all the details in the next few segments, because we also have characters and a few more points to go through, and reveals, of course.
Yeah, I loved that. Pretty much the last 2 volumes or last 2 chapters were pretty much almost like 100 pages. Were literally just her telling the story to Red 13 as he was sitting like a good boy next to her, chuckling at her at certain parts in the story.
I also found it cool that she actually thought to herself of Red 13 as this kind of funky looking dog, but with a high intellect inside, like this juxtaposition between outside and inside.
All right, so we're moving on here. We are talking about the new characters and their impact on Aerith and Tifa's backstory. So let's first start with Aerith's chapter. So obviously we had some new characters here. So we had Vyzz, who helped Ifalna and Aerith escape. And it was super interesting to me because, this is when Ifalna later explained to Aerith, that there are good people out there, and good people are good people justified by their actions. So they're, they just don't use their words. They actually go out and do the things that they're saying to help other people, which means that they're like actually good people. And that, I think, helped Aerith trust Vyzz, and also the other person that I guess, Vyzz had arranged with, and I forget her name now, but she was working, she got them out of the train.
Oh, I know what girl you're talking about. You end up seeing her later on.
Yes, Amanda, I think it's her name, or was it Amanda?
Yeah, she's marrying not Marcellus,
Rodin.
One of the Rodin. Yeah. That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was, for me, I think meaningful, because a lot of, like I said, we're learning, through Aerith's eyes, and a lot of the things that she's experiencing are firsts, right? So she's, she doesn't know what a picnic is. She doesn't know how to trust people. She didn't even know, she didn't know how to get into the box. Like, she didn't know what it was, right? Like, Ifalna's explaining this to her as she's going, which is pretty crazy to me. But she's a child, number one. But also, all of this is new, right? She's been in captivity, I think, up until this point.
Pretty much her whole life.
Yeah. So, and then obviously learning later in the story about Vyzz, when Aerith ventures outside of I forget what they call it,
the safe
zone, or the safe zone area. And Vyzz is there, right? But he's obsessed, he's with Ifalna, and she's gone. And anyway, that whole thing was crazy. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like, I thought.
You mean where he pretty much?
Yeah, he's so upset.
I don't think I can say the word, but he tries to do something. Yeah, the R word to her. And I was like, oh,
certainly
yikes,
looks
this
like
is
it,
getting dark. Holy.
Because he wanted her to accompany him to this Sector 3 house that they were originally supposed to live,
but
and
they didn't go.
Ifalna knew that probably, and then just
yes,
That's
changed.
what I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like she knew.
Yeah, she knew.
She used him because
She
she
used
knew
him.
what he was. She knew what he was trying to do,
Mhm.
and like
Yes.
all men are the same. Pretty much,
Yeah.
she was thinking like he just wants me all to himself. Blah blah.
Mhm.
And it was that time where I think I figured it out when he like grabbed the back of her hand and kissed.
Yes.
And then
Yeah.
Ilfana, like, it said something like Ilfana had a disgusted look on her
Mhm.
face or something like that, or like worried.
Mhm.
And at that point, I was like, oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
she knows, like, nah, I'm not
He's
putting me and my
obsessed.
daughter in that situation. Yeah.
Yeah. She probably promised him a little something, you know?
Yep,
get
just
away.
to get out of
Yeah.
there.
Listen,
Yep.
if you get me out of here, let's meet up
I'll
in Sector
marry you.
3.
Yeah. He probably proposed to her before that. The same he
Yeah.
did to Aerith later, yeah.
Yeah. That was crazy.
It
I
was,
like,
yeah.
what?
Crazy
It was
character.
like
Yeah.
a big reveal.
And
I
then
was like,
Elmira comes out.
yes!
Yeah.
With the broom?
Yeah, that was
bam!
badass.
Smacks him right in the throat with the broom.
Oh, it was good.
Oh, that was so good.
awesome.
Unfortunately, her gun had only blanks, apparently, but Turk was
Yeah.
around to shoot him in the end. Well, not shoot to kill, but shoot him in the
Mhm.
shoulder. So he's not
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah, I find it weird how God, what's his name? There's so many. Not Marco.
Carlos?
Was it Carlo?
Carlo, yeah.
Carlo left her a gun for protection
Yeah.
and gave her blanks. Like,
Yeah,
I found that so
I
weird.
found it weird as well.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you gave her a gun to protect her. I guess it was just like to scare people.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh. Hmm.
To scare people and not doing anything stupid in the process, yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Because without proper gun training, you shouldn't be handling a gun.
exactly.
We didn't even discuss about the materia, by the way, that Aerith has in her possession.
Right, the whole
Which is
materia.
The white
crazy.
materia?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my god, that's how she gets it, you know? And
It's handed down
it
from
comforts
her
her to
mother.
hold it. Yeah. And she puts it in her
Got it
hair.
right from her mother, and it's been
So
just
crazy.
handed down through the generations of her
Mhm.
family.
Yep.
And even her mom's like, it does nothing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I wonder if her mom actually knew what it was and just
She
says
probably
it does nothing.
did, yeah. Or at least
Yeah.
had a feeling.
'Cause she was very close to her Cetra heritage. Like, she
Mhm.
taught Aerith about all that. So I assume she knew a little bit, at least, of what
Mhm.
that white materia did.
I could imagine she did. She said it on purpose to let Aerith be in the dark, and when Aerith is ready, she will realize what it is and what it's used for.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But maybe she might have kept it safer if she knew what
Well,
it
maybe,
was.
yeah.
I know. I
Right?
know. It went flying out of the suitcase too when she
Yeah.
smacked Fuzz with it, and she's like, "No, I got to go back." And I was like, "Oh, thank God you went back to get it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
We need that."
Yeah,
They're like going around the church floor trying to find it.
yeah. What I didn't know is that this flower field, or the patch, the flower
Mhm.
patch, basically in the church, was there before Aerith started tending to the
Yep.
flowers.
Mhm.
So it was kind of a, let's say, a live stream source. Well, the live stream was close to
Mhm.
the surface, kind of like the garden around Aerith's and Elmira's house.
Mhm.
Yep.
And what were they building around the church? Weren't they building something, but I forget. It was like a construction zone. but
Yeah,
then they
it's
abandoned
they
it, I
constructed
think.
the church. The church was constructed for people to pray during the construction of Midgar. I think at some point it was abandoned.
Wasn't it during the Republic or whatever,
Yeah.
the Republic era, and then
Oh.
they, the Midgardians kind of stopped praying.
Yeah, in the end.
It was when they realized that the scientists in Shinra started making, they started revealing that, oh, the life stream,
Mhm.
we die, we return to the planet.
Mm,
And then I think people just stopped believing in the whole God,
mm.
Yeah,
evil, and,
I think
you know,
that's
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
good and evil thing.
But the church was built at the very beginning, during the first few years
Mhm.
of Midgar's building. That's what I remember from. Where was it? I don't remember where it said it.
Now that we're talking about this, I am gonna go in first soldier later, and I'm gonna land there, and I'm gonna look around. I'm gonna see if there's anything different.
Do that, yeah, for sure. But most of Sector 5 is just remnants of the building, of a building Midgard, just basically a scrapyard.
Okay.
Scrapyard, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so new characters, we had Rona and Marcellus as well, and
Mhm.
that whole
Oof.
issue between, I guess, Marcellus just being mean.
Yeah, he just
and
he
a
just
kid.
hated Aerith for stealing his
Yeah.
sister's name.
Which is crazy.
He was
also.
an angry child.
Yeah, he's an angry child.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He was an angry
spoiled
child.
angry child.
His
Yeah.
mom died.
Yeah.
So he was just he was Hope from Final Fantasy 13.
Yeah, basically that. Yeah, for sure.
But he was like a bully. He was
Yeah.
so, and
Yeah.
he knew what would happen if he, told everybody about Aerith,
The problem is that he thinks that his father, because he's second in charge and has so much power, that he would be invincible. That's why he
Yeah.
just kept being such a butthole, basically, to everyone.
Yeah. But I just felt that situation was so, the conflict with the children and how, they were outside and all of this was happening was just very relatable,
Yeah.
like being a kid, being
yeah.
bullied, just, and then having to experience that. And then they were kind of fighting together with the children of the slums, like from the Sector 5 house as well, because those two were more like hoity-toity, so
Yeah.
we see the class divide as well, and just them telling, the
And
children,
he was pretty
like,
much calling them peasants.
yeah,
filthy
ew,
peasants.
you're dirty, like, get out of here.
Filthy
Yeah.
peasants, yep.
Yeah, and them trying to stick up for Aerith, and just, and Aerith truly feeling terrible about taking, Rona's name, but I mean, she was just a kid.
I love how both girls had guys that were kind of obsessed with them.
Yeah.
Like Tifa had a lot more, obviously,
Yeah.
but then Tifa had, all the kids at the orphanage loved Aerith,
Yeah. Yeah. And also, obviously, we can talk now. So X is Biggs, and we did talk about that before,
A little bit.
which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
That
I
revealed
love
to me. I
that.
was like, oh my God, that's what I thought when you start reading about it. You're like X, and then I'm like, And then I'm like, I know Biggs, was from Sector 5 house, or he helped there with it and took it over,
Yeah, he
right?
helped support the orphanage,
Mhm.
Greenleaf.
Yeah,
exactly. He was basically a teacher there in Remake, or at least they referred to him there as he was a teacher
Yeah.
back then. But here we learn that he was an orphan there, and then left to collect scrap and make money, and then he bought the Sector 5 house, renamed it to Leaf House, and
Yeah, he bought it from Shinra because it was supported by Shinra before.
Yes.
And he pretty much bought it
and
from
children
them,
were
so there's
bought
no
off from
affiliation
there
anymore.
for slave stuff.
Slavery.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's pretty.
That's why I keep saying I think Aerith's story is so much. There's so much more sad stuff.
And now it makes
Oh
also
my
sense
God.
that Tifa was sometimes worried about child slavery because it was a thing. It's introduced.
Human trafficking.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
She was. She thought initially that Zangan was like a human trafficker and was gonna take her, and then also suspected Rakesh like later as well because of what he was doing.
Which, I mean, she wasn't far off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He would have done anything for money.
Right.
Yep. Oh boy. Yeah, we'll get to it.
I did. Yeah, exactly. Like the whole Gainsborough, I guess, business as well was new to me. That whole thing I wasn't aware of, with Carlo.
Where they were pretty much like the Masons of Midgar, pretty much. Like they owned the companies that built Midgar.
The good version of Don Corneo's breed over there, yeah. So it was Gabriel Gainsborough was the head honcho, and actually it's also very good storytelling, I think, that he's the one that made life easier and better for the workers in Sector 5. Because he was tied with Shinra, and there was bad work conditions and low pay, and he fought for better pay and better conditions. And then he and the others...
And he was also the father of Elmira's husband, too,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Gray. Or no, Clay. Sorry, Clay was it. Clay Gainsborough. He's the father of him. And I think afterwards or later, they made repairs and construction around Sector 5, I think. So that's basically the... instead of basically female trafficking as in Sector 6, they were just handiworkmen, or however you want to call them. Doing construction, repairing, and building work all around the place. So no wonder he's the good Don Corneo.
Yeah.
And they were at war with them.
Yeah,
whole time,
yeah.
pretty much.
Because as soon as it came out that the one's second in command, Meguro, was very ill, they made a move, or they thought they made a move. And well, that's something we can get into a bit later. But then later it was written over to Carlos. That he was the new head, and then Sector 6 people and Don Cornelius man made the move, tried, and there was a bloody fight, and a few people, named people, lost their lives.
A lot of people died.
Yep. And that's also why...
Pretty much Mafia Wars.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
That's pretty much what it was.
That's also why the special district was erected to save Aerith, by Shinra, of course. And after the first incident, this special district was enlarged to also encompass the church.
Yeah.
Yep.
But wasn't that an agreement between Elmira and
Sang?
Yeah.
I think it was part of it. Yeah. But wasn't also this the turf wars part of that direction of the special district? Because before it wasn't really anything to concern with, at least that we know of.
I think it's just that Sang agreed to like have Elmira take care of her, and then Elmira said, if anything happens, that's suspicious, then I will let you guys know. Obviously, she lied just to protect her.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then Sang was like, okay, we'll let you watch over her until then. But of course, he told his superiors, and then obviously they're like, that's the last remaining ancient. You got to protect her. So they probably were just like, okay, we know where she is now. We just gotta watch her.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's kind of crazy how she was literally watched her whole life.
Yeah.
And from the shadows, like all the time.
But also to her benefit because of the Fuzz Hicks situation in the church.
Yep.
Otherwise, I wouldn't know if Elmira could have.
I wonder who it was that pulled that trigger. I wish they would have told us who.
Yeah.
I wonder if it was actually Sang.
Probably was Sang.
That pulled the trigger.
Or Song.
Because there was a sniper shot that probably took up, that shot him in his shoulder.
Unless it's a sniper shot Turk. I don't know what proficiencies Song has, but maybe he can. Wait, did he once use a sniper rifle in Crisis Core?
In Crisis Core, he did use one,
I think he did, yeah.
I'm pretty sure they're trained to use all manner of assassination weapons
probably,
like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They focus on one, but are semi-proficient in others, probably, as well.
Yeah.
A lot happened there. It's crazy.
I like the fact that it makes it more realistic, the fact that they have this house too in Sector 5, and it's so beautiful, and it's like, do you know what I mean? It's kind of protected. The fact that it, it was Elmira's, her family kind of business, so it does make sense, because when you first go there in the original, you're just like, this is so beautiful, but like, how does this make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, this is in the slums.
I love that they touched on that.
You know what I mean? Like this doesn't look like the slums.
Because even in Remake, you go through the slums and you get there and you're like, oh my god, this looks beautiful. This place is gorgeous.
Yeah,
how?
Exactly.
How does she afford this? How come they get to be happy in this big house while everyone else is living in containers and trailers?
Exactly. Yeah.
And even with her husband being a Shinra grunt or infantryman, I don't think he's a higher officer or something like that. I don't think he was that far.
No, they explained that he only joined because people were saying that they were exempt from it, that family, that they were, being protected by Shinra, and that they were uppity. And the only reason he did that was pretty much to shut people up. And he was supposed to just do it for 2 years or whatever and then be done with it.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
True.
I like that they also explained that Elmira had family in Calm. And like why she goes to Calm. Because out of nowhere, in OG, she takes Marlene and she goes to Calm with her.
That's
and
true.
in this one, they're like, she has a cousin or something like that in Calm that she can stay with.
It's the closest town, so it makes sense, but now it makes even more sense. However, in Remake, they don't really try to go to Calm. Because in the original, Barrett explicitly tells him to go to Calm or get out of here or something like that when they meet.
Yep.
And the next time we see Elmira and Marlene, it's at the ending when they're in Calm. But here, Barrett doesn't tell them that. And in the ending, they're still in the house in Sector 5. So
in Sector 5, yeah.
Maybe they go later or not at all. Who knows?
Yeah, now that you bring that up, I totally forgot that happened. Like, They in OG, Barrett's like, yeah, you guys should get out of
Yeah.
here. It's not safe anymore.
Exactly. Also, do you guys want to talk about the incident with Marcellus and Aerith's astral projection?
That is what I was waiting for one of you to bring up.
Yeah, that's so good.
I have that under reveals, which is the next section.
Okay.
So any other characters from Aerith's chapter that you want to talk about?
There was the name of another child, not X. Was this James?
Jean?
No. Jean, that's what it was.
Yeah, his Jean and X were
I
buddies.
liked him a lot too, because I don't think we saw him in Remake though. Did we in Sector 5? I could have sworn that I remembered that name Jean.
I think they're already gone or
like they all moved on, right? Yeah. I was hoping we were going to see more of him.
Yeah. Well, they're a few years older than Aerith anyway, so they would be like 25, 26.
Yeah, he was like 9 or something when she was 7 or
yeah, I don't
something
remember.
like
Biggs
that.
was also like
or 10.
3 or 4 years older back then.
Yep.
So
yeah, other than that, I don't think there was anybody else that was really that
all
influential.
new names. Everything's new besides Biggs.
All right, so new characters from Tifa's chapter. So we had obviously Dr. Damini, Orange.
Damini? I don't really
whatever
know.
you want to.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Damini, yeah.
Once again, we have the whole, pronunciation thing.
Titus, Marco, Mako.
Unless we actually hear them pronounce the names. Then. And Uncle.
Uncle.
Right? Big reveal there at the end, which we'll talk about. And also Manemi, which is interesting. They use like a French name kind of word, like
it's my friend. So a woman just is named my friend. It's so weird.
Yeah.
And also I just put the boys, like Gang of 4 as well.
There right, other, Emilio,
I love how
Taylor,
they explained it wasn't Gang of 5. Aerith is like, wait, but wasn't Cloud there too? Wouldn't it be Gang of 5? And she's like, well, he was kind of emo, so
he kind of kept ignoring us and getting in fights with the boys.
He's like, I'm too cool for these people.
Yes.
But there was a reason for it that they didn't really talk about much, because if obviously you played OG, you know why. The incident. Again, they didn't really talk about the incident much, but that's pretty much why he kept his distance. It was after that.
Yeah. Because he couldn't protect Tifa, and because of him, basically, she was in a coma for 7 days,
Yeah, he felt like it was his fault. He felt weak.
That's where he decided to join Soldier when he's old enough.
Yeah. And they referenced that got away with scraped knees.
Yeah.
Got away with scraped knees back then. He said.
Yeah.
I love that reference.
Yeah.
Did we get the name for the sassy grandma that Tifa...
I forget. I forget,
I
but I put sassy grandma. That was great.
I don't remember.
We didn't talk about this earlier, but I also loved how they talked about Claudette a bunch.
Claudia, yeah.
Cloud's mom, Claudia. I said Claudette. I don't know why I said Claudette. Claudia, Cloud's mom. I was like, man, I hope we get more story about Cloud's mom, because we don't really hear much about her in OG at all.
2 scenes and that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. They did talk about, though, that she came... I forget why she went to Nibelheim. Like, she's not from there, right? Like, she went there, and then she met Cloud's dad there, but we also didn't get too much about Cloud's dad. We just got the same thing where he went...
Was that what it was? I thought she was from there, and then she was thinking about leaving. But then she ended up staying because she met Cloud's dad,
yeah, she met him,
who was a traveler, and he couldn't stay still in one place, and when Cloud could barely walk, he actually ended up dying in the mountains by a monster.
Or at least that's what everybody thinks, because he just wasn't there anymore. Just they found his belongings and that's it. Yeah.
But they were suspecting that he was a soldier, and that he just dissipated due to degradation or whatever.
Degradation, yeah.
That's why his clothes were left behind, but that's...
Well, in the translation by Pekko, it only says belonging, so maybe just his the tent and his sack with all the things in the bag, the traveling bag or something, not specifically clothes. I remember reading like excerpts of translation by somebody on Twitter who linked to some other site.
Was it Audrey?
No, it was somebody else who kept translating not really word for word, but more like summary of certain sections and
Like
everything.
phrases, yeah.
I don't remember their name, unfortunately. But I read that at first, and I think there it also said clothes. Maybe Audrey also got there already and said clothes. I don't remember, but Pekko's translation, which got proofread by Eerie, another user. So it should be pretty accurate, but you never know. It said belongings, so I don't know. It's hard to say.
Hopefully they do the anime and we can see it.
Yeah, definitely. So cool. I really hope so. Because it could also be that he just pretended to die in the mountains and just left.
So he could disappear.
Yeah, exactly.
He's probably like, he probably, saw all the responsibility that was, with raising a child, and he's like, I don't want to be locked down like this.
Exactly.
Like, I'm just going to go out for a pack of cigarettes and never come back.
Yeah, basically that. Or he's just somebody who just makes a child in every village he comes across or something like that. Just once a year.
Yeah, maybe him and maybe he's Zach's real dad. Gaga.
Yeah, who knows?
Maybe Claudia murdered him and planted his belongings there and buried him in the backyard.
She found out he was cheating.
Yeah. Then in an act of passion, killed him, and what do I do? Okay, I just throw his belongings into the mountains and tell everybody, oh, well, I think he got eaten by a monster or something. Oops.
Yeah.
Yeah, imagine if she was that psychotic. I would actually love that.
Yeah, and then gives all the crap to Sephiroth, and that's why he stabbed her. Just shut up, woman.
Set the village on fire.
Oh my god.
Oh, now we're getting dark.
How about this? Cloud's dad is actually Tifa's dad, so they're actually brother and sister. Right?
Oh no, she's in love with her brother.
That's what I said last episode, and Sector was like, that's some Game of Thrones shit.
Yeah,
right there.
yeah, right, I remember now.
It's true.
Oh boy, yeah.
One thing I forgot to talk about when you asked me what my favorite part of Tifa's thing was, I love how they kept saying that Cloud was pretty.
Oh yeah,
How he had the best features of his mom and dad.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, so everybody actually wanted Cloud's shit, huh? All the girls just wanted him.
Even Tifa's mom, who's teased her with Cloud. Oh, Cloud's pretty.
I loved that part.
And then her dad was like,
she winked at Tifa, right? She winked at Tifa, like a playful wink after she said it.
Yeah,
because Tifa got flustered.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that if Tifa's mom survived or just didn't succumb to her illness, she would probably have done everything to get Tifa and Cloud together and have
them two together. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Oh my, Tifa's mom, Tia, I think was it, or Thea.
Yeah,
was her.
Thea.
Yeah, Thea and Brian.
Yeah, Thea or Taya, whatever. I know I know somebody, and that's how they spell their name, and they pronounce it Taya.
Okay,
but. Yeah. Anyway, I was saying Taya. Yeah. But there's so much about Cloud that we don't know too, which is crazy. About his parents, his lineage and stuff. So
just his mom.
Yeah.
Also, I loved how they brought up Cloud's mom again later on when Tifa was preparing all the food for the soldiers. Claudia was also there, and they talked a little bit. Yeah. And she asked Claudia. Did Cloud ever tell you anything? Did he write and stuff? And I think only once or something he wrote.
Yeah. To say that he was enlisting.
Yeah, it was enlisting,
soldier,
and then
but that was
to his mom.
Yeah,
but he never wrote to Tifa.
Yeah, but also only once to his mom, and then never again because he probably was too embarrassed to say, "Hey, I didn't make it."
That he never made it into soldier.
Yeah, exactly. And she also asked if Cloud would be there, was coming, because she heard that Shinra were coming.
Yeah.
So, but then it was kind of awkward, I think, between them. There was some kind of
because
Tifa was embarrassed about asking, I guess.
Yeah, and Claudia just
she's interested in him.
Didn't really know what to say. She, I think her gears in her head also turned, and maybe I don't know. And then she just hummed all the time while cutting veggies or something. And Tifa didn't want to interrupt her thoughts.
Yeah, exactly. So anything else about the characters in Tifa's chapter that you guys want to add?
Oh, Jessie, Biggs, and Wedge.
Right.
Actually, it was so funny because at first when they got introduced, they were named, just described. I should have caught up to it.
I immediately knew who it was.
I didn't because
Right
for some reason I imagined a grown man with his 2 kids who were waiting, and the grown man with his big belly and stuff. I don't know, for some reason.
As soon as they said the big belly, I was like, that's Wedge.
Yeah.
The whole bubbly, he's like, those 2 are for them, the 20 are for me. I was like, that's Wedge.
Yeah. I was completely in a different mind space. I didn't think about them at all. And afterwards I was, I'm so stupid. Why didn't I think of that? So obvious. I think it was the that at the point where I wasn't really paying attention to what I read. I just read like every second word or something. I don't know. Weird. Yeah, but I'm glad they brought him up. And then Jessie had a huge spotlight a few times.
I loved Jessie's involvement in Tifa's story.
Yeah,
she literally saved Tifa.
Yep.
Like, if it wasn't for meeting her, Tifa would have been stuck in that loop of just paying people debt, maybe eventually having to go to Wall Market or something.
Maybe. Yeah, because she was searching for Jessie and got the hint of Stargazer Heights, and then met Morrigan, and that's what got everything kickstarted.
Yep. Yeah, I loved how she met Marl too.
I love that so much.
So good.
Marl is
even the water lady too, right? Like she would go shower and she's like, "Oh my god, how am I gonna shower here? Like everybody's gonna watch me and I'm naked." She's
weird.
like, "You can just wear your bathing suit, or you can just come in your birthday suit."
Yep.
And later, I think she let her shower in a separate shower.
Yeah.
With was warded off, but cost 5 instead of 3 gil.
I like that. They had each other's back, kind of. Like that's how it felt. Like she was like, "Hey, the ladies need a like their own shower," so she like set it up and labeled it, and that was really nice. And the shower thing, always, it's a Tifa thing where she
constantly wants to shower.
Showers, but it makes her feel calm, I think, and refreshed. And
I wonder if it's because it reminds her of the waterfall, like the training and stuff like that.
Maybe. Could be. Or just
she says it in Remake all the time. She's like, I could use a shower right about
now. Every time
I could kill for a shower.
After a fight. I'd kill for a shower right now.
Yeah. Well, Biggs is kind of similar. He also showers all the time. And hates when he reeks. Yeah, Biggs. He really needs a full character arc. It was so lacking in the Remake.
All right, so we're going on here to reveals. So Aerith's chapter, obviously we talked, X is Biggs. So I just kind of figured that out as I was reading through it. I hope that they go more in depth in the subsequent parts of Remake about Biggs. I hope that he somehow survives. I don't know. I mean, it's a huge plot twist, but I think that everything is kind of left up in the air right now. That's how I interpreted the ending of Remake anyway. So
I think he's alive. A lot of people think that it's a different timeline, but I don't think so. I think he's just alive.
He's alive. I'm pretty sure he's alive.
Yeah. I mean, look how many people actually survived in Sector 7 from the plate crashing. So I don't find it very hard to believe that he also survived, or all of them. Even Wedge survived. He was buried underneath the underground.
Yeah, true.
In the deep ground.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that the Whispers held him in this specific spot because this was probably a blind spot for the debris, that it didn't crush him, but then created a cave-in that he was then able to get to the Shinra lab unscathed. Was almost unscathed.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think the reveal that Aerith had a fake name was interesting.
Yes.
Like, I did not know this at all.
That too, Rona.
I love this because it makes so much sense that she picks up so fast about Cloud's fake identity, because she had one as well.
Yep, exactly.
That's really good.
Yeah. And it just also speaks to her being a kid, right? Like, they hadn't chosen a name, and then people were asking, so then she's like, just think of the last
name she's
thought
heard,
of, which was Rona, and then
Rona.
It was kind of like this weird coincidence, and obviously I just felt like it was going to come out anyway. And because obviously when you're playing the game, you go to Sector 5, like everybody refers to her as Aerith, or they know her as like the flower girl or whatever, right? So they're not using Rona as the name. So I think that reveal was super interesting.
Was very short-lived, but I also liked that because otherwise, like half of a novel referring to her as Rona would feel wrong.
Yes,
So
exactly. Yeah. And then we did talk about Fuzz coming back at the end to get Ifalna and how obsessed he was, I guess. Or, she had promised him, or they were married or something. They were going to get married.
I think that was the plan. But
Yeah.
Ifalna managed to get out of this whole
Or at
mess.
least just like live together,
Yeah, live together. Well,
or be together. He thought in some way they were going to be romantically involved.
Yes.
Definitely.
And Aerith being a child, like obviously she didn't divulge this information to her, but now she's older and she's seeing it. I hope that she kind of puts 2 and 2 together.
Yeah, she did at the end. I think she realized it at the end. I found it like funny how the whole backhand kissing thing, and when Aerith's like, "Wait, we're leaving, but what about Fuzz? Won't he be upset that we're not waiting for him?" And Elfana doesn't even respond. She just keeps pulling her along. I was like, "Oh, okay." He knows something.
Yeah,
that we don't know yet.
And the weirdest thing was that he called Aerith Ifalna, and not in a very conscious way, like as he was under a spell.
Almost.
Yeah,
like he was possessed almost.
Maybe he drank too much
even
Mako.
Doesn't she even say that? Like he was almost possessed by some kind of magic or something like that?
Oh, really?
Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm.
No, it's never mentioned, but that's the feeling I got. Maybe he's high. He was high in Mako or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
Oh, really? That would explain it.
Yeah.
I just thought he was just love crazed and he knew that Aerith was Ifalna's daughter.
Yeah, because he even says you look just like your mother.
Yeah. And then he was just like, there's a part of her in you, so therefore I want you, and I'm gonna call you Ifalna for like role play, quote unquote.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I could also
it was sick, but it added so much to the story. I was like, oh my god.
I could also see him having some sort of mental illness, that he gets extremely obsessed with things he loves because he probably had a huge loss in the past, and as soon as he has the chance of building a new relationship and something, and then gets obsessed with it, he doesn't want to let go this connection because he had a loss of connection in the past. That's something I could also see, like this whole mental illness angle, because we know Cloud's situation is basically built on mental illness with identity crisis.
Yeah, and that's a huge theme in FF7.
Yeah, it is.
Huge theme in FF7.
I was surprised that he came back at the end because I thought that Shinra would have investigated and found out that he was the one that let them out, and then I thought that they would have killed him. So I was actually really surprised.
Maybe he was
still
alive. Turns out that Shinra sucks at investigating.
Or that, or he was a good liar and could make up a story for them to believe.
Yeah, he was. I mean, he's like, I got to go back to make sure that they don't suspect me. I got to go back and pretend to look for you. Like he covered all his.
That's
his
true.
bases with that.
Yeah, and I just put also Aerith's relationship with Elmira, and how it develops from she is a stranger, you know what I mean, who kind of takes her in, and then she ends up eventually calling her mother or mom. Or
that was so sweet.
Yeah.
Mommy. Yeah, mommy. I think their relationship, the build-up was so well done.
It was. Yeah. She even went through. I was wondering while I was reading too. I was like, I wonder if she's going to go through a rebellious phase, and she did. I was so happy that she did.
Yeah, because Elmira didn't want her to just go jobbing somewhere and take on a job, and the only thing she was allowed to was, I think, look after the kids in the Leaf house because it was just nearby, nothing else, and that's pissed her off a little bit.
They were going to bring up Zack at that point with the whole, flower thing and selling flowers. I was really hoping they were going to bring that up, but they didn't.
Yeah, it's a little bit before. I think she's 15 when she meets Zack, and this is when she's 13. So the story basically stops just before she meets Zack, and then Cloud interferes in the ship.
I found it so weird that it stopped at that for Aerith, and then for Tifa, it was like all the way until 18, 19.
Yeah.
For Tifa.
Well, probably because we basically know the story from when Zack enters the picture.
Yeah.
And this will also be told later, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah, but Tifa's story after leaving Nibelheim is completely untold.
Completely,
5 years. Completely blank.
No, nothing
yeah,
about
that's
until
true.
now. So it makes sense.
I just really loved the relationship between Aerith and Elmira,
Yeah.
and the fact that, Elmira took her in and didn't know anything about her and probably didn't know what she was getting herself into. But also had her own issues with having the business, and Clay was missing, and she left so many times going to find him, and then the reveal that he came when he died, and Aerith could see his soul.
Yeah, I love that they touched more on that.
That's so good.
And then he came to say goodbye, and then she told Elmira, and Elmira got mad and told her to stop talking about it, and like there was so much conflict between them.
I actually teared up at the moment where in Aerith's dream when she just wasn't able to call out to Elmira and tell me, hey, he's right here, he's right there, and it's so sad.
Yeah, and I think Elmira resented her because she restricted Elmira from being able to be more, I guess, independent. And I think that Aerith thought that. You know what I mean? And also internalized that a little bit and felt bad about it. She felt bad about it.
But I found it interesting that when Aerith went to her room and then cried, she didn't cry because Elmira got upset, but because Clay wasn't able to see Elmira and vice versa.
Yeah.
That's how you can tell that she's such like a wonderful human being. Like she went through so much stuff, but she wasn't upset that someone got that she got yelled at when she was trying to help somebody. She got upset because she felt bad that they couldn't say goodbye to each other. That's
exactly.
She's such a sweet child.
Ifalna also showing up, to her as well to check in on her, and the fact that she has these powers and she's just, unable to kind of differentiate between, I guess, a dream or it being reality or what she's seeing, I think, as being a child and then growing up and learning about this, I guess. But then ultimately she does, I think she says that she doesn't have access to that kind of power anymore, like being older, because she's half
because
ancient.
she's not as innocent, right?
Yeah,
she's
that as well.
She can't like control. Yeah.
Which does speak to also what we see in Remake, right? Where she's, well, I mean, we know that there's something going on, whether she's kind of getting visions from herself throughout the live stream. Who knows what's happening? But she's older, so she doesn't have access to that anymore. You know what I mean? Anyway, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah,
unless she's in a place where the live stream is very prominent, like the church.
Yeah.
That's why she's there all the time.
Exactly. Oh, by the way, did you notice that Ifalna stopped visiting her right after Gray came to see off Elmira? Afterwards, in Aerith's room, after she was crying.
That's where they started to become close too. Her and Elmira was after that, because after the day after Elmira told her to stop talking about it, she left the house and came back at evening, and she's like, "Would you like to cook with me?" Blah blah. And then they literally didn't leave the house for like a week, and they were cuddled up with each other all the time,
because
and
Elmira got the letter and the notice of her husband's death, and then she was just a mess, and then they both consoled each other.
Yep.
And that's I think it's you make a good point that Ifalna noticed she's in good hands, and I don't need to guide you anymore, basically.
Yeah.
Because Ifalna was still there, because who else told or make Elmira feel where Aerith was and that she was in danger? Because Elmira just knew, oh, Aerith is there, is somewhere over there, and in danger. I need to go save her. She didn't know why she knew that. She just knew she had to go, and I'm pretty sure that
I wonder if Elfana kind of had something to do with that.
100%.
That's what I think.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you mean with Aerith knowing about Marcellus? Is that what
No, when Aerith went to the church and Fuzz was attacking her.
Oh.
And Elmira was saying something like, I don't know what it was, but I just had a feeling that I knew exactly where you were.
Right.
But she had never known or heard Aerith talk about the church before at all before that. Yeah. So it's so weird that out of nowhere she just knew exactly where she was. So I feel like it was Alfana that was like, hey, this is where my daughter is. Go save her.
Oh, okay.
Because the garden is basically a conduit between the live stream and the world of the living.
Yeah.
That's why the flowers keep blooming there, even though around it and in the slums and miles and miles around Midgard, just dead desert.
See, I interpret it as she had a connection with Sung, so I felt like it was probably the Turks that had communicated to her that she was gone because she was being watched the whole time and that she was outside of the protected area. So then Elmira went on that hunch, basically. And then after that, they extended the protected area to include the church. That's what I
This
got
would
from
be
it.
possible, but Elmira effectively told Aerith that she didn't know why she knew.
She didn't say like
she
somebody
did?
told me.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
no, she
forgot
didn't say,
that.
oh, somebody told me where you were. She literally just said, I don't know how, but it was just a feeling that I knew exactly where you were. And that I had to go. Yeah.
Yeah, and then also obviously her using her powers to save Marcellus, I guess, because he was attacked.
Yeah.
Which
I
was
loved that
crazy.
part. And I loved how like the revelation of like later on when he grew as a person and apologized for how he was as a child to her, and that he owes her his life, and that he didn't know if it was real or not because it seemed like a dream when he saw her, and he thought that he was probably hallucinating because he was halfway dead.
Yeah.
I just thought that was so good.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, and through everything, she still helped, to save him, even though he treated her like garbage and was the reason why everybody found out her true identity, I guess. And that was awesome. I thought it was awesome.
And it also opens up a hopefully, I really think it Remake expands on that because it opens up a new kind of side story. Marcellus starts talking about the live stream and that Shinra's sucking out the Mako. And it sounds like he might turn to Avalanche at some point. Kind of like the way he told that he asks her.
Because at the end, I forget what he says. He like says something like, "Look for me in Midgar" or something like that.
Yeah, just the way he talked about this made me feel, if we happen to meet that person, Marcellus, in Remake somewhere, he must be with Avalanche. He's pretty sure he is with Avalanche by that point. Because it really feels like somebody who went through a 180 from being a spoiled brat to somebody who values life. And if you really do and know what Shinra does, you don't follow Shinra anymore.
Was it him that people were asking anyway how Aerith knew
Carlos did.
and how he got saved. So
Carlo.
And then they were interested with her and her powers, right? Like she didn't really want to tell them, but she did.
Yeah, she did tell Carlo, I think. And I think he also told Marcellus in the end at some point.
Yeah. But then that created an issue for Elmira.
But he didn't tell Marcellus right away. He told Marcellus like very close to when Marcellus actually visited her.
Yeah, shortly before.
Marcellus said he didn't tell me. He told me years later. And when he told me, I just, I knew I had to come see you.
Yeah, exactly.
But ultimately that caused problems for Elmira, though, because she felt like they were going to come get her or something. Because I can't remember, but I remember that Elmira was like, well, I'm just going to give up the business then. Or something like that.
Yeah, true.
Because she felt like they were coming for her, like Carlo. And then she just said, I'm just going to go have a conversation with him. And then apparently, no, they weren't actually coming. But then she was like, I'm just going to give up the business anyway.
That didn't happen because of Aerith. That happened because they thought that was a lie that she was telling, and that she was actually working for Don Corneo.
Oh, right.
And she had to clean up her name.
Plotted to kidnap him, and she plotted to take over the business.
Oh,
but that was actually a lie that was created by, what was the guy's name? Magello or whatever.
Oh, right.
Meguro.
Older Meguro. Yeah. That was a lie created by the older second in command that he was just trying to pretty much create a war and then take everything for himself. Because when she went to go see Carlo, he told her that wasn't the case, and he wasn't after her or anything like that. And then he ended up giving everything to it wasn't Carlo that he went to go see. He went to go see oh God, what was that guy's name that always, why am I forgetting this now?
Carlo is the one that eventually ended up becoming the new head.
I forgot who was the head before that. Marcelo's dad.
This is Meguro. This is the second in command, and did Gabriel die or something? I don't remember.
Gabriel did die a long time ago, so Meguro was the in command.
Yeah.
I forgot who the other old man is that was like the third in command. There was somebody that was also named that was starting all this. I would have to go back and read it.
I know who you mean, but I don't remember the name either.
I don't remember his name because they literally only mentioned him once or twice.
Yeah.
He only shows up once when she was a kid, and then like she never sees him ever again.
Is that the one who got mad at some point, where when Aerith was still supposed to be hidden? Pretty much in the beginning, that's somebody that got mad and Mara kicked him out. I don't remember if this was. No, Carlo came later.
I don't remember. All I know is that Elmira went to go see Meguro, and then he said, "Oh yeah, that's all a lie."
Yeah, exactly.
That I wasn't after you guys, and then he ended up giving everything to Carlo, and, a letter and everything.
Didn't Elmira need to like write it over in blood because she had a cut on her ring finger?
She had a thing on her. Yep, on her ring finger. Yep. Yeah, because Carlo was still at Elmira's house watching Aerith. She says, "Stay here and watch Aerith. I'll be back." And she went to go talk to him.
Exactly. But what's interesting is that Carlo never wanted to get involved in this whole politics thing, but in the end still was involved.
Yeah.
Poor guy. But he was basically the only one left who kind of wanted to and had the knowledge and probably also ability to. Meguro was about to die at some point anyway because he was deathly ill, like 3 illnesses or something, and at some point his heart almost failed.
Yeah, he had a heart attack. Yeah.
So,
and like 3 other diseases.
Yeah, exactly.
But then they mentioned that he just ate like slop or glop or something like that his whole life. So
yeah, just ate badly.
So like Don Corneo.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Basically, yeah.
All right, so anything else that you guys want to add for reveals for Aerith's chapter?
I don't think there was. I feel like I'm missing something, but I don't think there was anything else, to be honest.
I think we covered it all the interesting stuff anyway. Yeah, I think that was it.
All right, let's move on to Tifa's chapter for reveals. So we already talked a lot about this previously, so I just put Zangan, obviously, like his kind of how they met and just how he chose to train Tifa, because a lot of that was kind of left up to us to interpret. Yes, there was other pieces of information given in the OG and stuff, but we don't really know like why he chose her, or I don't think we knew either, like why he was there, like why was he in Nibelheim, and what he was doing there.
I think this is just his journey. He goes from place to place to train people, to give them better life, and then if he finds somebody who he can specifically train and to become his pupil, then he will.
Yeah, I think that whole like that's all a ruse. Like the whole I go place to place to make people have a longer life through these exercises. Right. I think he uses that to see if he can find someone with potential to possibly be his pupil through doing those tests.
Yeah. And Tifa, I think there were 2 major points. And one was she was the only one who was concerned about him standing in the river.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
And the second was that she had, I think, one of the best body posture and composure and control over her own body, and the others were like distracted easily and weren't really able to keep their balance and what have you. And she just went for it.
Yeah, absolutely. But then she realized that she was good at that as well, because up until this point, like we talked about earlier, she was more like doing things that other people wanted her to do or expected
just
her
went
to
along
do,
basically,
and just went along and
wanted to make people happy.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I loved how they touched on the like that Nibelheim was still set in the old ways, where the man goes out and works and provides, and the woman stays at home, takes care of the laundry, cooks, stuff like that. And they were just all expected to do that.
It's just tradition.
And their value in life was if they could get a man that could provide for them, pretty much.
Yeah. And the struggle there with the other boys as well, like they all liked her, but she couldn't tell them that because she didn't want to disappoint them or hurt them. But then ultimately she kind of created a situation like for herself, like a problem, because she's they're gonna leave and come back and expect to like be with me, and I'm supposed to just kind of go along with that. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So just learning how to have a voice as well, like how to speak up and be.
What I also loved is how Claudia is portrayed as one of those traditional women, but actually she's one of them that does things differently and wanted a different life. And as I said before, she wanted to go out to Midgard, but then stayed because she met Cloud's father.
Yep.
And I think there were other things that she had, I think, wanted to do certain things differently, and because of that, others kind of felt she was weird or something for breaking out of certain traditions.
Yeah, those old ladies in that club were talking trash.
Oh, right,
about her.
those old ladies, yeah.
Oh man, that was awesome.
Yeah,
I love that part.
Sassy grandma.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think at one point, like, Tifa was kind of like, that's kind of rude, or one of them made a comment about her or something like that, and then she kind of was holding her up, or she let her fall or something.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, you're pretty, after she fell, she's like, oh, you're pretty strict for teacher, huh?
Yeah.
She's like, well, that's what I'm being paid to do.
Yeah.
6 gil an hour or something.
Yeah.
It was like 6 gil, 6 gil an hour.
Mm-hmm. And also they did talk about how she liked fashion kind of from Midgard. She would get like,
she wanted all the latest
them
fashion.
though.
Yeah.
I think she made them, or somebody made them for her based on the
fashions.
fashions
And she
from
had
Midgard.
to use like different linen or fabrics that weren't like common in Nibelheim.
But also her dad like bought her a pair of heels or something, those wedge
sandals,
sandal
wedges,
things, and then she trips and like hurts her ankle, but like she liked them, but it was kind of like her dad just assumed like this is what you want because this is what girls want, and she felt maybe she had to wear them, and I think she did feel good in them, but then she got hurt. So I don't know. I thought that was interesting that they took time to focus on kind of that, but that just more solidified the whole like traditional thing, where it's like, oh, the woman stays home and looks pretty and whatever.
By the way, I also got a feeling that between Tifa and her dad there wasn't too much of an actual connection until they started training together, because before it felt like her dad just wanted to do things for her that he thought she'd like or whatever,
because he didn't actually know who she was
exactly
as a person.
He was just a father or a dad basically, and not
one of my favorite parts in the whole Tifa thing was when Zangan was training them, and then he was leaving, and he says something to like inspire them, and then he says, "Yes, sensei," like an excited little boy, and then Tifa and Zangan were both laughing with him. Yeah, I loved that part.
Yeah,
it was pretty cool. Yeah,
that was great.
I love that he went out of his way to like, he knew that she loved doing this, and he went out of his way to also learn all of the volumes and how to spar with her, made like exclusive gear, like training gear to like practice with her, so he didn't get hurt when practicing with her. Like he really went out of his way to make sure that like he also enjoyed her hobby and made her happy.
Yeah, that's probably where he realized, hey, he really needs to become a good father and get to know her and actually make her happy, not just do what the father's supposed to do, basically breaking traditions as well.
Yep.
Absolutely. And I think he was excited to be like play a role in that, you know what I mean? And also proud of his daughter, because I'm sure that the town folk talked about how amazing Tifa was, and and that is positive for him being her father, you know what I mean? So ultimately makes his demise a little bit, even more, like heart-wrenching for me anyway, but
certainly.
And then obviously we got a little bit about Marl as well, how they met, which was really cool. I thought that they took the time to put that in. That was awesome. Kind of like a nod to
his little
Remake.
red scarf.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
It's also where Marl, she's I think she was the one who noticed that Tifa tends to reply to people or act around people that she thinks the other would like, and not how she actually is. And then she just thought, hey, is that what you really think? And don't just tell me what I want to hear.
Yeah. Yeah, she said something sassy too.
Yeah,
about
definitely.
how they were showing pictures of her chest or something.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yep.
She went really off on that point. Don't show me that. What are you doing? Taking
Yeah, and then
those
Maro
pictures.
apologized. She's like, "I'm sorry that they had to embarrass you like
Yeah.
that."
Yeah. She's like one of my favorite new characters,
Oh
I
yeah,
think.
But me
Mara's
too.
great.
She's so awesome. And then obviously the Doctor Damini or Dimini Orange and Rakesh Orange, the son as well. I like the reveal that Rakesh also is one of Zangin's pupils, based on, you know, she saw the cord wrapped around his wrist, and that was cool. I thought that was really cool. Just the fact that, you know, she's not the only one, and she knows she's not, but just to have a connection there, you know, initially, especially too when she's waking up from, you know, her, was she in a coma?
Yeah. I don't remember how
for a
long.
while.
Yeah,
pretty
for a
long.
month.
Month? Yeah, exactly.
For a month.
Yeah. I'm sure that helped her trust him a little bit more as well, right? Knowing that Zankin had trained him, and also he did help her because she was weak after, so he kept giving her the volumes, and he would say, hey, you can keep it, you know, if you want it, because she thought back and she was like, oh yeah, everything I have is destroyed. You know, like she had nothing.
No clothes, no more volumes, no Maru, no parents, nothing.
She did say that she hoped that Maru was alive
Safe.
somehow.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool.
Imagine in part 2 we go back to Remake in part 2 and we go to Nibelheim and Maru's there with the red scarf.
Oh my god, I hope so.
So it'd be so great to see Maru.
I want to see a scene of Tifa seeing Maru and then like just running to, oh man, that'd be so cute.
Oh no, not towards the mountains now.
I'm just gonna casually eat another bird.
Yeah. And Rakesh, the reveal, I guess, at the end, he stole from her, right? And he was trying to kind of pawn her off on the Corneos, right? For her to work in.
Well, not quite, but he mentioned that she would make a lot of more money in Sector 6.
Yeah. And he said, let me know if you're interested. Yeah.
He wanted her to make more money because then he could pay off his debt sooner.
Yep. Because her debt was actually only realistically a third of what she was actually paying.
Actually paid.
Yeah.
So they profited.
They took money from her. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Now, this whole situation is so screwed up. Now we can also say that Uncle, the one in the steamed buns stall where Tifa worked for, I think 2 years or so was it, managed to sell like over 1,000 a day sometimes.
Yeah.
That he is the Don Corneo from Sector 8 called Manson.
Manson,
Manson.
Group. He's the leader of Manson's group.
Exactly, yeah. But Rakesh, being a gambler, lost a lot of money and then I think took a loan from Manson probably, and then gambled it away again and needed to pay back. So her mother, his mother and himself needed to charge a premium in their practice to be able to pay back. That's why Tifa had to initially pay back 3 times more than she actually would have. So it's a whole spiral basically.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
but I'm really glad
off of her.
Yeah. But I'm really glad that this in the end led her to just having paid off everything already by that time, because I think she already paid back a third.
Yeah.
So this was being done, and the money Rakesh stole, she got back from him, of course, thanks to Barrett. And then
they ended up buying the bar.
Yeah. All right, the bar. Yeah, the bar is also a whole other story. There's so much in Tifa's chapter. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, the last chapter was like 50 or so or more pages compared to 20 or 15 like all the other ones.
Yeah.
There was so much on that last portion.
A lot, yeah. And we didn't even touch on Barrett and his backstory, how they met and stuff.
Yeah.
Marlene, again, she's just such a sweetheart.
Oh, I love Marlene. Don't yell at Daddy.
Yeah, don't yell at Daddy. Please don't yell at Daddy. He did nothing wrong. He's a good guy. Oh, boy. I really love
I don't know
how Tifa in the end made the decision to take him in, and thanks to Marl, they were able to bring Barrett and Marlene in and let them sleep in the secret basement.
Yeah, because he had dirty clothes and smelled Marlene because he hadn't been able to wash her because they were homeless. And he was just going from planetology meeting to planetology meeting, constantly trying to find a way into Avalanche.
Want to find Elfie, the leader.
Yeah, he was trying to find Elfie or Jesse at least to get him to, get her to get him in there, and meet with Elfie. I love that he actually dropped Elfie's name. That gives me so much hope for Remake that they're actually going to talk about her.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Especially when we get to Cosmo Canyon. Because doesn't Avalanche have a lot of roots? Like they started in Cosmo Canyon, if I remember correctly?
In Cosmo Canyon, yeah.
Did.
Even though realistically Rufus is the leader of Avalanche.
Yeah. Money-wise, yeah.
Yeah.
Certainly. I think Tifa's last chapter, where everything with Jesse and Barrett and the others went down, I think this is the most story-dense and connection-dense chapter or piece of story we got so far. It's so good to tie everything together, I'd say. It's really, really good.
I agree.
The bar. Also, did you remember the carpenter who made the bar and the previous owner Monty owed money to? Do you remember him?
Was he in Remake?
No, he was in Crisis Core. He's the carpenter.
Oh my!
It's the side quest with where Zack told him how to name the bar. And he said he needed to create the bar for somebody. A bar in Sector 7 was building one, but he couldn't decide on a name. And then Zack, 710. That's that guy, that carpenter.
Wow. I totally forgot about that. It's been so long. I've been wanting to replay Crisis Core, but
same.
I've been holding off on the attempt and the hope that, with all these pixel remasters, maybe one day they port it to console and do a remaster of Crisis Core.
Maybe, yeah.
I would love if they ever did that.
Maybe.
I'm just waiting for Ever Crisis.
Yeah.
Yeah, there'll be Crisis Core in there. It'll be a very condensed version of the story, but it'll still be there.
I hope that this 7th Heaven naming is still there because it's part of the story. All other most other missions probably not so much, but
you know what confuses me? A lot of people say that Remake isn't going to introduce. They don't think Genesis is going to be introduced because of the whole licensing thing that they have with the idol in Japan that looks exactly like Genesis and voice acted him, and they pretty much based the whole model off of this Japanese idol. Gacked, yeah. But Ever Crisis, you can't tell a Crisis Core story without having Genesis in there. So if they're going to put Genesis in Ever Crisis, then there's no way they don't put him in Remake. They could just remodel what he looks like.
Yeah.
Well,
they could just make him look completely different.
In Ever Crisis, everything is chibi format, basically. Not in battles. In battles, okay, well, there they need to really model them with accurate proportions.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's a chibi Genesis.
Yep.
They might actually just ask him if it's okay if they use it again.
Maybe.
I'm
I
sure
hope
that
so.
he would be okay with that.
I'm sure he'll probably be like, all right, pay me this much and you can use it.
But he's not performing anymore because apparently he got really sick. That's what I read recently.
I heard that too.
Yeah, he was in the hospital for a while. And also something to do with his voice. I think they said that he lost his voice or something. But
that would suck.
Yeah, but I mean,
it happens.
Why not just, be like, yeah, absolutely, you could use me in Remake and everything and just pay me. You know what I mean? Because he's like, I'm not performing right now. I'm sick. Exactly. So
that's true.
Why not?
I'm sure it wouldn't be an absurd amount either.
Probably not.
Yeah. Anything else that you guys want to add for any reveals for Tifa's chapter?
Theoretically, a lot, but most of it is not really revealed. It's more like, that was cool and that was cool. So
yeah.
There's so many things. Jesse revealing that she's an actress to Tifa. How she saved Tifa. That's the first time I actually ever striked somebody.
Yeah.
Like when she saved Tifa
from this hoodlum.
From the hoodlum. Yeah. I loved the whole Jessie Tifa thing, man. It was so good.
Yeah,
They like became best girlfriends. You know?
it's also great build
Yeah.
up for Jessie's death scene because Tifa was just destroyed at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
I
we know
just
why.
finished that part on hard mode, and she's crying.
Yeah, she
and,
is.
And Cloud's holding Jessie, and Jessie's like, "Oh no, what did I do?" Like, you're crying.
Yeah,
basically,
God, I love her so much,
and
man.
she's
Her
literally on
character's
her
so good.
deathbed making jokes.
Yeah.
And she's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, of course it will be you who's gonna hear my last words," right? Like, as Cloud's bring her over to the thing.
And then bring up the pizza at the end.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
she still owes me a pizza, man. I'm so
Yeah. Oh boy.
All right, so quickly, this is a big one though. That's the thing. All right, potential details for that are relevant to future remake titles that were in this light novel. So I just said maybe more Zangan appearances, references. I don't know. I said that it says on his wiki page, or whatever you want to call it, Final Fantasy wiki, that he's trained 128 students. So I said maybe Tifa will run into more of these students, quote unquote, during their journeys, and potential, it could be a new character.
learn abilities from them.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Or,
Something.
just to help the party along, maybe in the story, maybe they need help. Something happens. I don't know. I'm thinking more, Wu Tai section of the story, depending on, what part we're actually going to get that story. Anyway, and then, yeah, you said potentially learning her limit break, her final limit break.
Yeah, final heaven. Because at the
Yeah.
very end of her chapter, she says that the next time she meets him, she will beat him and then receive the what's it called again? The basically diploma of mastery or something. Menkyo Kaiden. Is it
Menkyo Kaiden,
it's
yep.
called? Like proof of being a master in Sengenkyo.
Mastering martial arts. Yeah.
However, Tifa realized that over the years she kind of added her own flavor to it, and it's now Tifa Ryu and
Tifa Ryu.
Tifa Ryu against Sengen
love
Ryu.
that,
That
dude.
clash, I would love to see
it.
that.
Yeah. And then I just said Zack not being mentioned, really, I mean, is for me a big indicator that we're going to get a lot, or they're working up to some kind of reveal about Zack.
The whole thing with Zack, I think, like, how they pretty much got rid of the mystery of Sephiroth in Remake, how he was in OG. Like in OG, we just see traces of Sephiroth and how destructive and scary and powerful he is without ever really seeing him much. I feel like they're replacing that mystery with Zack's mystery in this one, because you see him at the end of the cutscene for the first part of Remake, and then in Integrate you see him again. If you're a new player, you're like, who is this character, and why is he so important? And I feel like with them not really talking about him at all in Traces of Two Paths, I feel like it's just because they're building up to something huge in Remake, and they're just trying to lead the mystery up. Build him up.
Also, Zack is a huge part of Cloud's true self, true identity. So that's also what because
that's true.
I'm pretty sure there are a lot of new players now who haven't played the original. Maybe they did now after Remake, but still, I'm pretty sure there are a lot of new ones. And even those who may jump on a train when Part 2 arrives, then play Part 1 first, and then Part 2, and then maybe read this. And if Revelations would be in here, not good. Detrimental to the story.
I think that Zack is going to have a huge influence somehow on repiecing Cloud's consciousness back together. I know in OG it was Tifa. I feel like it still will be, but I feel like Zack is going to have some kind of I think he's going to be involved in that somehow. Like trying to help him piece himself back together.
It's a good bet.
Because Zack is the trigger for that.
Yeah.
You are my living legacy. So he literally thinks he is Zack.
Yeah, that's true. I think it's going to have a focus as well on Aerith, because I think that like after Aerith dies, like Cloud feels responsible forever.
Yeah.
And,
even in Advent Children.
Yeah.
Especially
and
that.
Like, I don't know. I just feel like something's going to happen there between Zack and Aerith. I don't know what, but Hopefully not too much longer till we have to find out. But I do agree that with new players, especially, they don't know who this character is, you know?
Yeah.
But in the original as well, it was very hard to understand.
Yeah.
You literally had to do a side story
Yes.
Yeah.
to figure out who he was.
Hidden
Or
side story.
You could play through the whole game and not even know anything about any of that.
Yeah.
Besides
And there
the
are
whole
people
consciousness thing.
that played through it, that are like our age or whatever, and chose not to even. They ignored the whole Zack part because they're like, it's too hard to understand. So they just went with the simple story that Cloud's the hero, and he, you know what I mean? Like inside of their minds, like people just kind of conveniently didn't care about that because it was so hard. I think it was hard to understand, especially the fact that there was no voice acting and the way that they did it with the black screen and the text and everything. Like it was hard for me to understand.
And the that's why when I was saying that like the two parts I'm looking forward to the most in Remake, like one being Calm and Cosmo Canyon, another one, huge one, is Gungaga.
Oh yeah.
Because his parents in the original say his name and say, "Oh, we haven't heard from our son in so long. I hope he's okay. He was our first soldier. His name's Zach." And then Aerith and Tifa are both very like distant to Cloud after that. You know, like after they hear that, and after Aerith meets his, Zach's parents.
Gungaga has so much potential, yeah.
And then that's when Tifa's really like, okay, there's something going on here. Like with her memory, she's starting to remember, like, no, Cloud wasn't there. But she doesn't really say it, you know, but you can tell from her like mannerisms of how she starts talking to him after that, like she thinks something's up.
Definitely. Has so much potential, Gungaga, because it was kind of a throwaway town with a little bit of Zack lore.
Yeah, you didn't even have to go there.
Yeah, you didn't.
You literally just could have kept following Sephiroth's path and not even gone to Gungaga.
Yeah. But why would you skip on the little Turks banter where they talk about who they love? Why would you skip that?
Yeah, I love that part.
So good. Come on, Root, who do you love? You like?
Oh,
Tifa.
I can't wait to hear Reno's voice actor say that in part 2. Especially because of what Rude did in the helicopter to protect Tifa from Reno shooting her down.
Exactly.
Man.
So he already knows.
Yeah, that was crazy. I'm that's the part I'm at right now. The plate just fell, and I'm working on my way through, and man, it's such a good game.
It's a beautiful
it's
game.
So good.
It is. Yeah.
I have my issues with some of the writing at the end, but overall the nostalgia factor and just like how every time I went through the game, I was like, oh my god, I can't believe this is real. Like the whole time I was playing the game. It made me so emotional through so many parts. Like there's a scene with Maximilian, dude, that I had the same kind of like feeling. I think it's when we see Tifa, and then On Our Way starts playing. And I was like, I had to put the controller down mid playthrough. I was like, I have to take a minute. This is like hitting me so hard right now. I don't know. There's so many moments like that in the game.
That opening sequence, just when you start the game, for me.
Oh, I cried on stream.
So
Aerith looked at the camera. I started crying.
Yeah, it was nuts. It was nuts. But it was also for us like the beginning of the pandemic. So we were on lockdown. I was at home, and there was a lot of unknowns, and just I had this game to escape into, and it was kind of like how I was when I was a kid playing through this.
Yep, that's exactly how I felt.
So crazy to me.
Like very giddy and excited the whole time.
But I lost myself in this world again, you know, and I had the ability to do that, which is crazy. And the fact that this game came out, given the fact that the pandemic was just like kind of starting. You know, in everything, because in China it was like started, I think, in January, and it was, or even before that, in December that year, and it was affecting parts of Asia, you know, quite early, and they finished it and got it out.
Remake got pushed back.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just so fortunate to be alive.
Because originally it was March, right? And then it came out in April.
March 3rd, and now it was 10th of April,
Yeah. Anyway, I loved everything about this novel. I was just completely blown away. I loved it all. I think it was incredible, and I hope that they do eventually translate it officially into English, because I will definitely be buying it.
Yes.
Oh yes, it'll join my collection of Ultimanias.
Yeah. I have the the English Ultimania pre-ordered on Amazon, but I don't think it's been released yet. So
No.
I don't think so. Yeah. Isn't it due December sometime?
yeah, I think
Yes,
it's a
it is.
placeholder though. It says I think my Amazon says December delivering by December 31st, I think.
Oh,
But I
see.
don't know if it's actually
Yeah,
coming out
placeholder.
then.
End of the
Yeah.
year is usually a placeholder, or end
Mhm.
of a month.
Anything else you guys want to add for potential details relevant to the future remake titles?
My brain's pretty much
Same.
drained by now.
Yeah.
Oh,
So much information in these two novels.
there's one thing I want to add that I really liked about Tifa learning cocktail recipes.
Yep.
And how she received this cocktail recipe, because Monty was so struck with her and her abilities to make the bar lively again, and was always sad when she had to leave for a week because she was only able to work there Wednesdays. And then when he passed, he made sure to give Tifa his secret cocktail recipe booklet, which kind of looked like those of Sangan's. So it's
Yep. Same. I think she said same paper.
yeah, same paper. Yeah.
Same style and everything. Yep.
Tifa gets all the secret books.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, it sounds like that concludes this episode. So thank you so much, Legions Gaming, for joining us today. It's been so great sitting down and talking to you about Final Fantasy VII Remake and also this amazing light novel. So thank you so much for your time. I know, how incredibly busy you are, especially now, with being an ambassador for the First Soldier, which is absolutely incredible. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And also for, being involved in Final Fantasy XIV and, you're soon to be playing Endwalker and then just, fitting us in for this episode. Vyzz and I really both appreciate it. So thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. Anytime I can talk about Final Fantasy VII, any excuse I get, I'm always down to talk about it.
Yeah, same here. And I was really glad you were able to make it today.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, you talked on Final Fantasy XIV. It's funny. I've been playing for like the last hour while we were talking.
That's awesome.
Just casually running around and slaying fiends.
And then I have Blitz over here saying, "Hey, you want to play some First Soldier today?"
That's so awesome. Hey, listen, if you can do it, why not, right? I'm just a terrible multitasker. I would never be able to. Like I was saying earlier, reading this novel even, I was distracted. I'd have to reread the paragraphs again to absorb what I read. So, all right, guys. So if you have any questions, ideas for up and coming episodes, please send us an email. Our email address is thereunionpodcast@gmail.com. thereunionpodcast@gmail.com. We do have a Discord server, so why don't you go ahead and click the link for our Discord server, which is listed in each of the descriptions of each episode. Also, we have a Twitter account. It's @reunion_podcast. We do have a Facebook. It's Reunion Podcast. And our YouTube channel obviously is The Reunion Podcast. Don't forget to like, sub, and share the podcast or write a review if you feel so inclined. Honestly, it is the best way to support us here on the podcast. So Vyzz, did you want to go ahead and drop your socials for Cosmo Canyon Observatory?
For sure. So of course, it's Cosmo Canyon Observatory on YouTube, and on Twitter, we're to be found at CC_observatory. And on Discord, you can also find us there, either through the link on the YouTube channel, Discord, in the description of every video, or probably, I think we can also be found when you search on Discord for Cosmo Canyon Observatory.
Perfect. And Legions, did you want to go ahead and tell our listeners where they can check you out?
Sure. They can check me out on any of the social media platforms, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok even. LegionzGaming is the handle for everything, so you guys can find me on there. Twitter has all my links if you guys want to just go on there.
Perfect. So once again, Legions, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us here on the podcast today. I just want to say thank you again, and all the best to you, all the success in the world.
Thank you. And to you guys as well. And you guys make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel of Reunion Podcast. Okay?
Yes, please. And to LegionzGaming.
Thank
Do
you
it
so much.
now.
Yeah, absolutely. Already subbed.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Thank you for coming.
Absolutely. Take care.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye.